Mm. Uh, Reading this back on Twitch, I need to run over, and I'm going to go deal with some issues. Hey, hey boys, audio is just restored. Anything else we need to be aware of? Cool. Everyone can hear us now. They got the first 10 seconds. So, a few you'll be aware of. Previous DMG, Rigged and Rhynek, otherwise known as Hawkeye, fantastic Jinx player and sort of late game hyper carry enthusiast. Ikari has been around the block a few times, less so in recent years, but a proper appearer of years gone by. And previous Rise Gaming from Division 2, now over on the Bandits. We've got Shmeon in the top lane and Scooby on support for the Bandits. Oh, yeah.
from the bandits coaching
Hey!
room. Oh, we found them. We located the analysts outside. They were just stumbling around in the dark, but we brought them in, put them in front of our camera. Here we go.
Yeah. So, and we were talking jungle in this league.
Mm-hmm.
I major proponents of the. I love
Yeah.
the carry jungle. We got in Division 1 we got Trizzy, we got of course Lunka, we got Tweak. It feels like, but then you look at the top echelon, and like you go to Venom Crest and you do see Garax and Phrase sometimes being forced on more team reliant picks on the Sejuani, on the Mundo, and then you go to to Karina, and Karina just plays Nafiri every time it's open, and it's Karthus when it's not open.
Yeah. Yeah, we got Heyo Karthus waiting in the wings, Karina Nafiri, looking for Viego and Rengar popping out there. Like, for some reason, we do love to carry from the jungle. It's important. Given the in pro, we're still not seeing as much of that. We do have a decent amount of variance there. We've still got things like Lilia's popping up quite a lot, the occasional Viego. What is your feeling on carry jungle, I guess, on balance? As an approach to the jungle role and how to get the best out of that position, do you think that carry jungle, you think we're just kind of living in our own little universe, or is the UK and Ireland's kind of onto something here with this carry meta that we're building?
I think the sort of Hecarims of old, sort of Nocturne is the best champion these days that sort of plays through, farms through until they become sort of that unstoppable force, are generally not as popular. There isn't that much resource in the jungle. You know, you can have your Zyras, your Nocturne as mentioned, your Xin Zhaos, who become an overwhelming force. However, generally, I think there's been a big shift over the years, and especially now that we're no longer on rails with objectives, to try and find a bit of extra creativity, and that's lent itself to champions like Viego, that want to scrap, that want to one versus one. A few of the newer mages as well sort of suit that a bit better. So it's nice that we're still holding on to it a little bit. If you are going to make something off-style work, competitive's a pretty good place to do it. So excited to see if Good Cheat and Furnace can lean that way.
Yeah, for sure. And, for players like Rigged as well, who are very important to the rosters that we've seen them on in the past, we'll see what Good Sheep been able to do in terms of kind of harnessing that, I suppose, and maybe having that carry influence, but not necessarily winning and losing through one player, right? Because and Harold, you can maybe speak to this a little bit, kind of bringing Lunker into the conversation once again, like having this pivotal player, this sort of MVP caliber player, what is it like trying to build and design a roster, a 5-person roster, around such a kind of impactful person, and I guess not trying to put all your eggs in the one basket? An Orn merchant to balance it out. Not anymore. Yes, Urgot Scion merchant. My mistake. Yeah. So I've been on the loopy train since finals last split, and then into this series as well, into this split when the Bandits have not been as dominant as before, but have still been very strong, and Loopy has been just a very consistent force out of that top lane. So great to see there. Sure. Yeah. 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 Mm.
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 I'm going to summarize because I think, unfortunately, we've lost Harold's mic on live for now. But essentially, the very, very gist of what was a beautifully detailed point is there was sort of a meta shift towards certain other champions. If you are going to play these carry junglers, you need that facilitation in top. You need the sponge. You need the Orn train to sort of soak that up there and let you play one-sided.
I might just hurt.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll plug in a ton of sensor sounds just to really make the most of a muted Harold monologue. I think we do have the draft coming up relatively soon to see what we're actually going to see coming through in Div 2. So once that's here, we'll bring it on. But Harold, now that maybe
we might be back. We might be back. I don't know what happened.
Back. Okay.
Hell yeah. But I feel like draft is going to mirror a little bit of like what we were talking about. Like we've seen the shift towards early strong junglers, and we've seen a lot of priority being put, especially like in more storied leagues like the LCK and the LPL on the first pick Xin Zhao even. This like it just feels like we're going to see the shift more towards something that can dictate the tempo of the early game, and make it so that. And like the team taking away that first pick, or like guaranteeing themselves the super strong like bruiser, they can just draft around it and give themselves some safety in terms of picks.
Yeah. So, despite all of this, despite all the well-made points about pushing junglers, like bruiser junglers, active junglers, back into the game, why is it that the AD carries are still tank posting and weeping over all over social media, Harold? Why? How is this possible when we're being forced to play bruisers? You know, surely the AD carries would not lie about this. Surely they would fairly and faithfully represent the state of the game.
I'm gonna preface Harold's answer with I think most of the people saying that have a master and then a 2-digit league point total following that title.
The lowest possible master.
I do think AD carries are too used to being able to blow everybody up when Kraken Slayer was in the game and he was strong anti-tank item. So finally now that I can play a bruiser and not die in a 3 seconds to a Jinx rocket barrage while playing Renekton and diving into 4 people, I am happy as hell. Keep crying, AD carry mates. I'll stay winning.
And so they will, as we know, this will always be the case. They've still got Varus, you know, until someone takes Varus away from them, I refuse to hear their complaints, to be honest. I'm not listening, you know.
I can't remember. We actually saw a little bit of Cogmore recently.
Yeah, someone
you know,
Cogmore,
we have tank killing AD carries that we're just not using. Varus, you know, one we are using, I suppose. But yeah, like, I think Cogmore is a fantastic position on the patch. We've done so well at keeping people away from AD carries. Why not pick an AD that's worth it, for sure?
Yeah, just any Gwynsu's buyer, surely.
True,
waiting
that item's not okay right now. It's not okay. Exceptionally good.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe if we just push the boat out a little, lads, we put the Ezreal to one side, you know? We'll ban it from Dragdar. Everyone else, let's just all agree to put it to one side.
We put the Ezreal to the side, we put the Ashe to the side, we put the Jhin to the side, and we start picking good AD carries like Varus, Kog'Maw, Jinx, Sivir, Tristana. Actually, no, don't pick Tristana. Don't pick Tristana. It's really bad.
I was gonna say, yeah, for sure. No, totally weak. Very weak champ. Not worth bannable either, especially against the Lendil folks. Remember that. Definitely not. Definitely not 10-1 or whatever that 15-minute scoreline was from that Bandits game. Certainly not real.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen. There's no evidence. No one can trust it. Okay, so if we're actually one that was left out of there, we do see Sivir sometimes as well coming through. I think Sin, for some reason, a guy who hates Varus but inexplicably loves Sivir, just a completely nonsense preference in my opinion. But if we're talking Kog'Maw and Jinx, are we talking Sivir yet? Are we talking Aphelios? You know, like what's keeping these AD carries out there? If we're trying to destroy a frontline, you know.
Time is my answer. Because frontlines technically usually spike around 2 items. And Jinx and Sivir and like all of these like tank killing champions really good in team fighting. You need 4 items. So
and that 4th item no longer says just get 60% damage versus Scion, which is that's a real shame.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our other potential backup option to killing tanks, the classic pro pick Master Yi, has been banned by the Bandits 2.0. So you really know we're in Div 2, folks. We're joining Div 2. We've got Master Yi bans coming out. Karthus to follow it up. Looks like Rigged Temporal is still pulling a lot of focus in this phase.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta get the attention, and clearly has let one Master Yi Yuumi go this season, to which most teams would probably be well within their rights to ban. I think Gucci, I don't remember if they've dropped bans. I'm gonna have to go look somewhere.
They're certainly dropping them. We can say this. So whether they should be or not, that's up to them. But they certainly are. So this is going to leave the Bandits 2.0 with a bit more freedom on that first pick. Are we still, as we have been, bigging up the Varuses and things? What are we looking at in the B1 right now? Anyone who has a favorite B1?
I think Varus is still insane. Especially pro-skewed and semi-pro skewed as well. I think Freak said in his 25.10 patch notes, it's just like, oh, by the way, Varus is broken. We're just not nerfing him till MSI. So soon, but not yet.
I love Freak's patch notes. Just the pure honesty right there. Looks like, so we've had the Vi ban and gone straight into the Xin Zhao. So Harold, one of these picks that you have highlighted as right in slap bang in the middle of that meta that's trying to be crafted right now.
Yeah, basically you just take the Xin Zhao and then you just throw extra like frontline at him and he's like, okay, what do? I'm fine here. Like, what are you going to do about my presence in the middle of your team?
You just bowl
I am going to
right
use
down
press
the
and
middle
guard
into the 5 stack and see what happens. Yeah, and it is the Varus instantaneous answer. So not the B1, but in fact the R1 coming through. Reinhardt going to pick that one. Obviously, Hawkeye from Splits Past of the UKL that folk might remember, a seasoned UK player, and we might just goes into the Darius. Whether that's going to be in a lane, in a jungle. I know we went through a little Darius jungle escapade first Mitch right there. People were freeloading off that one for a little bit. We'll see if it's going to be locked in or if there will be something a little bit more to come through as the answer. And in fact, it's not something standard, but in a rigged game, perhaps it is. The Hecarim returns to the stage once again.
Yeah, not a huge shock. Rigged is still on his draw 3 bans, pick a different farming jungler strategy, and that's fine. Matix and G locking in Azir and here, so long range, the name of the bandits. They want to be able to support G's Jinja without having to commit themselves, which is nice, but Riggs Hecarim has a long road into the back line with that champion, and we'll have to see. He can be the ball delivery system. If it's not Orianna, another control mage that will play off of him, the Orianna will go in.
Yeah,
there's
make sure.
Also a lot of... There's good follow-up for the Xin going in with Crescent Guard and creating disruption, and then the Zir can sweep in with, the Shurima Shuffle, and then just, you kick everybody back into the fight. Just when you thought you were done, they throw you right back in.
Yeah, Azir knocks you out. Azir tosses you right back in. You're like, are we fighting or not? Am I basing? Are we going, guys? Please decide, bandits. Since the second round of the bans, top lane focus out of it. The Olaf taken away from Dark King, and Best removed. Karma as well, presumably taken away from Scooby, trying to deny a strong 2v2. We'll see what Gucci Infernus wants to pair up with that Varus. Of course, plenty of room to go Enchanter or Engager with a pick like that.
Yeah, little bit of a focus on Gucci not being able to capitalize on their engage with either a strong teleport in or just a roving threat here. So this is the Ezreal being able to stand the way, not being chased down the hard way. Nikari is going to counter that by saying, well, I'm going to push Aura Nautilus and find you anyway. This would go really hard with Rigged if they do set that up nicely. If we see some QRs or R flashes over the backline, Kari's got plenty of skill expression here. They're holding on just a little bit longer with their top lane pick for Gucci, which is fantastic and means Shmion here is probably going to be on something a little bit resilient.
Yeah, as we see the Braum getting locked in for Scooby. Really strong laning counterpick, gives the Ezreal that window to just fight in this early lane. Ezreal early damage is nothing to scoff at. We talk about the Varus a lot.
Sure.
But Ezreal will win that 2v2 at this point. With the Braum locked in, this is just a better lane for the side of the bandits in the bot side. Now, Shmion, your team needs an Ornn. Will you answer the call?
You could be on the fence about the one. I think
Nope.
I think you're not totally wrong. He's
not
going to
Ornn.
lock Jace, which is kind of
the opposite
helpful
of
in a
Ornn.
way. Yeah,
It's not the Ornn, but I respect the Jace. I respect it. As a Jace player, I can respect the blind Jace.
Yeah.
Shows you have confidence.
how likely do we think he locks the Irelia? Oh my god, I said it. It's going to happen.
Okay. We
Irelia
actually
does
got
not have an issue with anything the bandits have picked right here. That is a champion that will
there it
cause
is.
so many issues. Only Scooby's Brahms Glacial Fisher can slow down the huge dive coming through from Gucci.
Yeah, but you see, Shmion is him.
Shmion's gonna have to be hit.
I hope
have to
he's
be
him. Yeah, that 2v2 is going to go a little nasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so Irelia is a champion that really seems to have been the consensus. Whenever I hear someone mention Irelia in the context of pro or semi-pro, they go, that champion is ass. That champion is so bad. What a bad champion. Harold, is Irelia that bad of a champion? Or, we have this cold answer by Temporal into the Jace, but as a general pick in the landscape of top, where are we at with Irelia right now? How hard is it to make this work?
Well, I feel like Irelia is very, it has to be an R5 pick. It's not the Irelia 2018 anymore that you can just blind pick flicks into 2 lanes and be fine. It has been changed. Irelia has been changed somewhat into making her a more side lane centric character instead of the team fighting monster that you always want to be at the team fight. Now that the stacks don't fall off once you start hitting turrets, it's just so much more damage on the side lane. She fulfills that same role that Camille does, with a little bit less scaling, because it's a champion that really spikes at that 1-2 item breakpoint. Once you have that Blade of the Ruined King and that Hull Breaker, it just makes it really hard for the enemy team to get pressure on sides, because Irelia can shove out 2 waves, reset, go and catch 3 waves on a different lane, and then show up to a team fight, and she's always going to be ahead of tempo just because of the pushing speed of this champion. but it is a flippy, because if you lose early and you don't get the 2-item spike, then you're kind of useless.
Yeah, you don't have an option to not try skill expression. You must fight, and if you don't, you lose, and if you do and you don't execute, you lose, but if you do and you win, oh, montage time.
Yeah, and not as someone who has not kept up with every game in Division 2, that's not as familiar with how these teams play, with the dynamics of each team, when I see a top laner given R5, having had Olaf and Jax banned away from them, and they slam Aurelia, I'm going to watch that lane. I'm going to be looking at that lane.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's name is Dark King, for goodness sake. I want to see the Aurelia lane, and we'll see what if Shmion is him, or if the guy who is getting target banned out, whose name is Dark King, is him. I'm just saying, that's the visual storytelling for me is pointing us up to that top lane. So we'll see how that matchup is going to go, because there's, as we say, important, potentially swingy, potentially pivotal to the rest of the map. Now, for the Bandits 2.0, for the rest of the map, we've got the Azir, we've got the Ezreal, we've got the Xin Zhao, and we have the Braum. So a pretty solid 4-stack of frontline, of backline, of CC options right here. Harold's going into kind of taking top lane out of the equation, assuming that they are just 1v1ing to the end of time, at least through lane, trying to kill each other. How are we looking through the rest of this map? Because we've got the Hecarim jungle potentially farming, could be big later, the Orianna mid-jungle duo. Like, where are we thinking the dynamics are for mid and bot?
Well, the wombo combo on the side of Chi is... Like, it's the draft in its entirety. You take away the Aurelia, that 4 side is built around the wombo combo. Chains of Corruption into the Onslaught of Shadows, into a Shockwave, and a Depth Charge. You blow up 2 targets, you win the team fight from there. On the side of the Bandits, though, you have a lot of disruption for that wombo combo to come through. You can use that Crescent Guard to create space, deny the damage, just stand your ground and then keep the fight going. If you have the Azir, the Emperor's Divide, to just create space in a team fight, the Glacial Fissure, it's a lot of disengage tools and a lot of things that it's really difficult to run away from. So if you do burn those engage tools, and then you're done, you have no more to get on top of the enemy, and the enemy is chasing you down with that Winter's Bite, you are going to feel horrible about it.
It's not going to be fun, potentially. And Temporal, given that we've got Ezreal, Braum potentially winning bot lane, Azir pretty safe in the mid lane, decent range to play into the Orianna. That can be a bully, right? But Azir can stand back. How are we thinking? Are we going to give Bandits kind of potentially multiple winning lanes right here or across the other side of the map, expecting them to have control early on and just be dealing with the engage later? Or is it about withstanding the onslaught and kind of making the late game work?
This level of play, Orianna Azir, is really interesting. And the shortest version, and it's boiled down a little too much, is the better player will win. In truth, the matchup has some real nice layers to it, levels 1 through 8. Azir, like if it's Chovy versus Chovy, Azir will take a small edge, but fail to find kill pressure without a jungler. I don't know if we're going to get Chovy versus Chovy today. My eyes are still like being drawn to the juicy treat we got in the top lane.
Yeah,
but with that in mind,
Doran in top side.
Yeah, with the junglers also not being a standard like visit on rotation to a lane junglers, I'd maybe expect the Bandits to take a small edge here, and whether they can make it more is going to be on them.
Yeah. Okay. With that, let's very quickly just get an off-the-dome prediction for you both. Because this Div 2 run familiar, all we've got is the names on our screens and the champions there. Temporal, let's bounce forward from you as well. Tim, quick prediction, Bandits 2.0 or Gucci Infernus to avoid potential relegation next week.
Yes, they are rival standings right now at two wins apiece, I think. I haven't looked since yesterday.
2 and 4.
2 and 4, 2 and 5, or 3 and 4. I'm going to go for Gucci. I used to coach this AD carry called Hawkeye. I trust he's not going to walk up and be caught on his own pushing midwave under the enemy tier 2. You're going to do it, buddy. I believe.
It will be the 180 carry in UK and Irish leagues that doesn't do that. Let's see if Hawkeye can be the one. Harold, do you have faith in the Bandits V2? Do you think Gucci and Furnace have got the answer?
Well, if I didn't rep the brand, I think I'd be fired before our series tonight. So
that's fair.
I had to also up the boys.
I
have to up the boys.
Fair enough. Okay,
the Bandits
split desk.
Gonna try and take it.
let's pass it over to our casters, Luna and Frisky, to get us into Bandits v2 versus Gucci and Furnace.
Trajan. We are almost ready to go, as you saw there. But welcome, everybody, to the cast for our Division 2 game. For the first game of today, between Bandits 2.0 and Gucci and Furnace. You've heard what the desk have to say. Frisky, before anything else, gut instinct, not looking at the champions, not looking at the names. Who's taking this game? Wow. Wow. Yes, we have seen this in not only in Division 1, but I've seen this in a normal draft game moons ago. Very good at the Heck Room. I'm going to split us straight down the middle. I'm going to say it's 50-50 on desk and cast. I much like Temporal. I've coached Hawkeye. I've got to rep my boy. I have faith. That being said, we are still having some technical difficulties. So to TLDR what Frisky has said, as his audio is not going out to the masses at the moment, if Bandits can utilize what they've got available to them to find their leads and not make small mistakes that can be abused by Gucci in the early game, they will be fine. Compositionally, they have the upper hand. That being said, hopefully we can get this sorted and head on into game very, very shortly, because I'm not sure about you guys at home, but I am very excited to watch our two Division 2 teams battle it out. As the desk mentioned, this is to secure who goes into relegations, I believe, and who makes their way into playoffs. So it is everything to play for both of these teams. Waiting to find out. I've got eyes on both chat and our live comms on my other monitor, so if I have to translate, I will translate. Oh, not yet. Concern. I am going to direct your attention to our live comms channel while I speak to the lovely viewers at home. We will express Frisky's love as asked. However, that being said, this game does prove to be quite an important one for both these teams, as mentioned. I'm quite excited, personally. I think these are players that we have seen in Division 1. Yeah, some in Division 1, some not. But we have seen some of these players in Division 1. They've been pretty good. Can we hear Frisky now?
Let's see if the chat tells me. All right, I'm back. They kept me away, yes, but I'm here now, so... Yeah, I mean, I can reiterate... Tap
because I'm hearing you twice.
Okay. I can reiterate my point a little bit, which was just anything can happen in Div 2. The comp of Bandits, I think, is a bit more solid, and I think can play better in the mid-game. But I think that if the Heck Room gets fed or the Varus gets fed early on, it's going to be a lot harder for them. I know you're cheering for the guy on the ADC on the Gucci team, but... my friends Shmion and my boy Scooby, I coach Shmion. Scooby's I'm just a fan of Scooby. That's going to be my guys I'm rooting for, certainly.
Fair enough. Now, I believe we may be ready to head on to the Rift. Hopefully production can correct me if not. Possibly. Right. Maybe.
They said 2 seconds, so everyone count with me. 1. And... and 2. See, perfect.
We
End it
are
well.
on
All right,
the
I'll read
Rift for game number 1 of the day. Bandits 2.0 versus Good Chi in Furnace. We will see just what either of these teams can do in the early stages. Are you expecting anything funky at the level 1, Frisky, or do we think it's just kind of going to be a very standard, clear one way and have the junglers meet on Skull?
I would think Good Chi would try maybe a little bit something with the Nautilus dredge line, but that's about it. I mean, they would have to try to hook either the Xin Zhao or the Ezreal and just hope he doesn't have Arcane Shift level 1. A couple things could have been done, but I think they're just kind of smart and just not really playing for anything right now. I think we'll get some craziness as the game goes on. So everyone just kind of sit tight and just kind of hold your breath for now and just take in the fact that we have this nice, peaceful time with us, just all quiet and nice before the true chaos happens. Because as we know, we have an Irelia on the Rift, and pretty much anything can happen when we see one of those nowadays.
Most certainly can. Now, I know you have some thoughts about this Hecarim just as a pick in general. So I'm going to give you, while we've got the quiet lull state, feel free to have a little bit of a chat about this champion if you so please.
Of course. Now, as a coach, if a player is very confident on a pick and they're very good with it and they can work with it in the team, I'm going to try to pick it and make the comp work. That being said, I'm not, I can't make everything work, and there's some picks I don't necessarily like, and I just don't think Hecarim's been very good in the meta for a long time. And even if he's very good at it, I think it's just a champion that takes a long time to get going and just does not do enough damage, both in the and even in the mid game. Because if he doesn't get super fed, I feel like there's just not a whole lot he can do. Onslaught of Shadows can certainly disrupt the team fight, especially when you put the Orianna Shockwave on him, but he really only becomes an engage tool, and especially if you hit late game, he's just going to do no damage, I feel like. I mean, how many Hecarims do we see nowadays that can super heavily carry a game? I mean, Rig clearly is somebody who, maybe can break that stereotype that I'm creating and show what a Hecarim can do, but I'm just not confident in it. I feel like a lot has to be done in the early game for it to have any impact later on.
It's a fair enough analysis. Now, we can see both junglers pathing opposite directions, which is a little bit interesting, considering you think this bot lane is a lane you kind of want to leave on its own. You have pressure for Bandits 2.0, so going down and moving down is not necessarily the end of the world. Plus, you have a Jace Aurelia matchup in the top lane. This is going to be volatile as anything heading into the level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6 era. Especially considering what Aurelia can do in the early stages of the game and what Jace can do in the early stages of the game. It looks like Rigged got that memo. You can see Dark King taking an aggressive trade. The shot blast was a little bit wide. Good knockback will mean the trade ends shortly after it has begun. But as I'm speaking about it, we see exactly how this matchup can work.
It's definitely going to be a little bit troubling for Shmion early on, but I feel like as long as he stays back, just gets his farm. I mean, he's going to be able to get a little bit more mana probably in his first back and, hit the minions from afar. As long as he doesn't give Dark King any big openings or a couple of kills, I think this matchup is fine just kind of staying even. That's kind of what you want. You don't want this Aurelia to get too fed. You want this Jace to sit up and farm. You want him to be able to poke out and help in these objectives and in these team fights later on as the game goes on. I think the key is definitely just going to be don't let the Aurelia become an absolute disaster and have her completely running you away on the map. I mean, I think Shmion just has to be a little bit careful on that front. And, I've seen him play careful and not careful at times, so we'll certainly see how he plays out here.
Yeah, absolutely the case. We see Rigged a little bit faster on his clear than JI, heading on that reset just now, as Rigged is already back on the map, having taken the Scuttle Crab and reset already. Now back on towards this bot side. We could potentially see something happen down here with the Bandits 2.0 bot lane pushing in this heavily EDD and Scooby, potentially looking to try and get this wave to crash. Doesn't look like anything's going to come of it for now. Rhynek and Akari doing a very good job of holding the wave.
Did you ever find out if it was G or JI or
I
J
did not, but there is a
okay.
first blood in the top lane onto Dark King. Courtesy of JI, once again, as we are talking about him. If I'm saying that wrong, please, anybody in chat, feel free to correct me. I'm not very well acquainted with the Bandits 2.0 roster. Of course, I know some of the names, but not all of them.
But of course, we just had the first blood happen. We didn't see it, so we got to pretend we got to make up what happened. I think I know exactly what happened. It was a tremendous fight, and it was very close, and it was a brilliant 2v1 from Dark King, but they just had a couple better hits with Shmion and Jonathan just getting their abilities off a little bit more, and they were able to get the first kill. Brilliant analysis for not even seeing anything, but let's pretend that was that epic of a battle.
I hate to be the devil on your shoulder, but I think it was just Dark King being a bit too far up.
Yeah, I think he just pushed up too far and he got double killed. That's it. That's all it was.
That being said, Rigged looking to take the second reset of the game as aggression on towards Shmion. A good pushback. We can only pick one to get rid of. Static field going down. Not quite going to be able to find the rest of the damage though. Shmion gets out with his life. That flash did have to be burnt, however, which does lead to the potential to be punished very shortly. And this is not ideal. Shmion just teleported back to lane. Ooh, Dark King's still looking. Potentially just proxying and making sure that Shmion can't get the free reset, though.
Shmion does have the right idea of backing off, but is underestimating the, how far the Irelia is going to dive. I think they're definitely going to want to try Rigged and Dark King to put a little bit more pressure on this top side now, especially now with the Irelia down a kill. But I think it's just going to open it up a little bit more for Bandits, because now, as you saw, they just got Dragon right off the bat. Both their mid lane and bot lane stays pretty stable. If the Hecarim puts too much topside, they're just going to lose a good chunk of their objectives on the map. It's going to make team fights a little bit harder too.
But Frisky, Aurelia's full build. She's got a Vamp Scepter.
All right, sure, good enough. Yeah, all right. Well, might as well head home already. See if the pubs are still open.
We'll see if this top side is any more volatile than it has already proven to be. So there is a fight going on in the topside river, possibly. I don't actually see... Oh, no. Shmion is walking bot. They are doing a lane swap for Grubs.
Probably a good idea. Get a little bit more pressure on that top side. They can afford bot side falling back a little bit more. Pretty good strategy right now, especially with two teams that aren't coached. Shows that players definitely can have the insight to be able to do these things. So clearly that some good communication going on from Bandits on this side. They just have to be careful not to let Shmion get dived at all, because sometimes you get two people in the bot lane and they try to start putting four people down there just to kill the person alone. At least got to be careful of that, not make it not worth their while, not give Gucci any more openings to get back into the game, because Bandits are slowly taking a little bit more control on the map, and can they continue that momentum?
Is what we hope to find out. Grubs should be spawning in the next minute or so, give or take a few seconds, as we can see Ikari moved up, leaving Rhynak in the 1v1 against Shmion, which is a little bit dangerous. Your lethality Varus not the strongest in the early stages of the game. Now, are you expecting there to be a massive fight here, or do you think one team is going to end up conceding?
See, in Div 2, I would say no, there's not going to be a massive fight. They should be conceding, but as you see, a fight's happening.
That it is. Onslaught Shadows phase both DDD and Scooby. Seems like the Ezreal and the Braum living for now, and a beautiful Crescent Guard knocks Dark King under the tower. Riggs the first one to fall. The next one to follow is in fact Dark King, as all three members of the Bandits chase Ikari to the ends of the earth, and it looked so good. They found the fear onto both of the bot laners. But DDD dictating death defiance in this fight. It's a 3-0, and the Bandits happy to take that one.
The power of a better champion early on matters so much. That Crescent Guard did excellent in keeping our Xin Zhao alive, pushing Dark King into the way of the turret, letting him get killed as well, and making this fight so easy for Bandits. I think a little bit overzealous from Rig. They just saw people. They didn't exactly think of, the ults that they had, how far away they could disengage. Just kind of went in seemingly a little bit willy-nilly without enough damage. But on the side of Bandits, they clearly had enough, and they were able to get 3 kills and Grubs from here, and momentum, again, slowly building up, and it could get harder and harder for Good G.
Certainly could. We see Matix jumping forwards with that shifting sands towards Severa. Scooby is hovering around this mid lane as well, so a little bit too much confidence could lead to a very dead robotic mid laner. Scooby will start to move back towards this bot side now as lane assignments have returned to normal. Do you think we're going to see anything happen before the next objective, Frisky? And if so, what do you think it's going to be?
We shouldn't. You'd think Bandits really need to try to get more right now on the map. I think they have a good amount of control. They're not really in a position to be taking turrets yet, so I think they can just hold and kind of wait for the next dragon, get their first items kind of going a little bit more, like they're kind of opening up the map more. Don't have to kind of play risky and try to get more on the map. But I'd say the same for Good Chi. I mean, you can still make a dragon fight happen. A good Chain of Corruption, a good Dredge Line and Tidal Wave, not Tidal Wave, Riptide, excuse me, that's Nautilus is old. Can, one lockdown on the Ezreal or the Jace, and they can definitely turn the fight. They just have to be really careful with it. So I don't think they should be any overzealous right now, but Irelia says otherwise to my logic.
So he does, trying to get a trade-off, but taking so much damage. This Tunneler on Shmion, making him a little bit tankier than would otherwise expect. Rigged just looking to take an Invaders. The Dragon is spawning in 20 seconds. It looks like it may just be considered with Rigged on this top side, looking for the dive on towards Shmion. Vanguard's Edge landed. Rigged is the one tanking. The flash from Shmion is good, but it's not enough as Dark King able to take one back for himself, and Rigged getting out with his life as well. You'll take the kill in trade for what is likely going to be the Dragon on the bot side. Severa possibly under threat in the mid lane. Doesn't look like it as J.I. and Matix move back towards this Dragon.
Good Chi at least seem to recognize that they're not going to be able to get any kind of mid control or even bot control by then, so they just say, okay, let's just get a dive on the Jace. We have enough strength for it. Obviously, Rick didn't even die for that, so it ended up being completely worth. You still give over another Dragon, which is a bit worrying. It also depends on what the soul is, and Chem6 soul can go a few different ways, but I think that, again, if bandits get a soul, it's going to be really hard for Good Chi to fight. It's still going to be really hard for this Hecarim to do as much damage as they need him to, I'd say. A decent trade enough for the position they're in, but I think if things don't go kind of Good Chi's way, it's just going to be kind of a slow burn, and it could get tougher and tougher.
Yeah, most certainly could. You can see 4-1, only about 1,000 gold in it, but J.I. sat in the bot lane. When becomes lightning doesn't quite tag onto Rhynek. Dredge line does connect, however, and Scooby's going forwards with the force of 1,000 suns to back up his jungler. Ikari, you thought you had the angle, but you just didn't. Riggs now having a back away from the spot lane as well as Rhynek can do nothing but run for the hills. The bandits have their finger on the trigger, and they're ready to pull it. This duel is nothing more than a massacre.
Why I don't even want to figure out why that Dredge line came out. Even if you pull him into turret range, he has Crescent Guard, like he's probably going to survive that. But at the same time, as we know with Dredge line, which I think a lot of Nautilus players forget, you get pulled in a little bit as well when you use your Dredge line, which means that you're closer to the enemies you want to kill, and then that just gives plenty of opportunity for Winter's Bite and Glacial Fissure on the Braum to stop you. And unfortunately, that makes the Varus have to stay off, and they get a couple more turrets from that. So little mistakes like that are going to be really costly as the game goes on. A couple more plates, a couple more kills, and once the map opens up, Bandits is going to have a lot more pressure.
Yeah, they most certainly will. Saying how it was a 1k gold lead just a second ago. That is still growing in Bandits' favor. They have feats secured for themselves with 2 dragons and 3 grubs alongside those first 3 kills. So they are in the commanding position. First items coming through for most everybody in the game at this point. Trinity Force, Nash's, Sundered Sky completed for J.I., Matix, and DDD. Meanwhile, Blade of the Ruin King, Opportunity, Blackfire, and Yumu's for Dark King, Rigged, Severa, and Rhynek, respectively. As Dark King's looking to go aggressive onto this is in. Matix and get caught up by the stun banger. There he goes down. A good use of the ultimate to keep Dark King away as J.I. arrives, but is able to trade at minimum 1-for-1 as Rigged is flying in from the sidelines, but Scooby's here to back up his jungler. This horse will not find its way to the races today, and it's just a 1-for-1 in the end, but you'll take it as Good Chi.
Horse definitely cannot get out of the starting gates for sure. He's still going to need a little bit of a push to get himself out. But, I mean, the fact that Dark King can get a couple kills in, situations where, it technically is meant to go the way of Bandits is going to be good. Another dive going off right off the bat, but they did miss things. Is it still enough?
Depth charge. Depth charge with a shockwave. It's more than enough. Kill goes across to Ikari. It's not ideal, but you won't complain. Gold is gold. A kill is a kill, and pressure is pressure. Even if that Dredge line misses, it gets Ikari in range to drop that depth charge, which is the most important piece of CC in Nautilus's kit. Meanwhile, you are giving your mid lane tier 1 for this. Plates have fallen, so these towers are incredibly squishy.
That was 3 ults burned, though. I mean, with Dragon coming up relatively soon, it should be a Chemtech Drake. I know it says Cloud Drake in the corner there, but normal lead client plugs, nothing new we've experienced before. But I think the fact that they don't have their ultimates and they need to be kind of ready for that next Dragon fight, as Bandits is definitely going to be looking for that as their win condition. I think Bandits have a little bit more opportunity in the next minute. They're going to go for Herald here, and Good Chi can't really fight that. And if they counter right after with a couple kills, it's going to make it really easy. I don't know if burning 3 ultimates for one Shmion, who is still kind of leveling up. He doesn't even have 1 full item yet. Will that be worth it? We need to find out in the next minute.
Certainly will. So that Herald has gone down. Dragon up in a minute, as you rightfully say. And it feels like this is just Bandits' game to control from the get-go. Only 2,000 gold in the lead at the moment, so it's not completely out of touch for Good Chi. But every objective on the map has gone across to the Bandits. This tower in the bot lane will eventually fall as Rigged and Dark King make sure they can get some level of pressure for themselves on this bot side. But with a Dragon 30 seconds away, it's very difficult. And it seems it might actually just be Good Chi with the inside line.
This problem was a bit low tier. Never mind.
Good shockwave as Dark King is teleporting in. Severa trying to do what they can, but will fall in the end. Now Dark King stuck on the side of the Emperor's Divide. Matix looking to go for the execute, cannot find it. It's a 1-for-1 in the end, but it's a 1-for-1 in a 1 versus 2 and a teleport blown onto the other side of the map. Meanwhile, JI is killing Rigged on the bottom side, and Ikari stuck in the middle of 4. Rhynek tag by the wind comes like the flash from Shmion, means they will fall as well, and is what is essentially a clean ace on the bottom side of the map for the Bandits, because the teleport was just used to the top lane.
Great counter from Bandits is immediately what I thought. It's like, now you're burning a teleport for a 2v1. You still need to get Dragon control. What can you do with that? And Bandits immediately counter. It seemed like a decent enough play for Good Chi to still get Shmion out. But the fact that this will give them their 3rd Dragon, the strength of this Xin Zhao cannot be understated. The lacking of the Hecarim was clearly there. It seemed like we didn't see the fight, but it seemed like he went down relatively easily from looking at the health bar, and then they were just able to roll from the fight from there. The whole point of Good Chi is that they need to be kind of with the Hecarim and the Orianna to get kind of the backline shockwave combo, and if they are not doing that and they're looking to kind of put pressure in other side lanes, I think it's going to make it a lot easier for Bandits to take control of the map, hence what we're seeing now.
It certainly will. When the name of the game is Wombo Combo and you don't have your Wombo with your combo, things get very, very awkward. We can see now that we are moving Severa back towards the bottom side. No objective up for another 4 minutes. Of course, that Herald already went down towards that top side, so we've got 7 minutes till there's an objective up there. We should enter a bit of a lull state, no real fighting, just looking for towers, maybe a bit of trading in the lanes. But nothing more than that. Have I jinxed
Not
it?
a ton. I feel like Bandits need to be playing more with their advantage, and yeah, just as we say that, nothing much is happening. Here we go!
Good shockwave onto 3. Shmion trying to get what damage down they can onto Ikari. With only Severa and Rhynek to back up, there is no hope for this Nautilus to survive. I jinxed it. I cursed it. It's all over for us. By us, I mean...
Yeah, like I said, it's just... As soon as we said that things are going to get slow and kind of be at a lull, we said that, hey, things are going to start popping off relatively quickly. Look at that. How far did that E go? Good God, that was like all the way across the mid lane. Very long. Could have gotten everybody. Always surprising what Irelia can do. Learn something new every time. But I mean, one kill, not so bad for the side of Good Chi. They at least hold on to things a little bit more, so the slow bleed kind of continues. I still think Bandits can be a little bit more aggressive with their... Why do I'm jinxing it again? This is Jinx Day!
It's Dark King going down. A beautiful Winter's Bite will stop them dead in their tracks. And it is a 5,000 gold lead for the Bandits at this point in the game. They have ballooned this lead beautifully. Rig now stepping forward to try and clear the way, but taking so much damage. JI flashing forward when becomes light doesn't quite land. The ultimate was used, however, which means this tier 2 should be free for the taking. Rhynek looking for some poke, but it's a 1-item lethality Varus. The poke's not really there.
As soon as I said that they were not going to, they needed to take a little bit more on the map or be a little bit more aggressive, they immediately do that, and they do the right thing. They're already putting some pressure in the mid lane. They still had the Nautilus kind of moving on another side. They see the fact that the Irelia is free, and they absolutely take more control of this top side, and the Demolish lets them get a secondary tier turret. So they're playing pretty slow, but still pretty methodical from the side of Bandits. To be honest, when it was a lower tier Div 2 game, I wasn't expecting much, but they definitely got better macro than I was expecting. So don't know if this is kind of a side compliment, but at the same time, I am impressed with them so far. It seems pretty simple for them just to keep it up right now. 2 minutes away from Seoul. A missed True Shot barrage. Maybe that's a bad sign. Hopefully not, though. What they really need to do is just kind of keep poking out, get their last dragon, and be good.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we don't get to see. Normally we broadcast the Div 1 games, but this is Division 2, and it shows just how close it can be. Matix jumping forward on Severa, and this Orianna is getting rinsed. Has to back away as the rest of the bandits start up the Atakan. Severa gonna go down. Matix will survive a potion. Ticking. Tick, tick, tick. As the Azir surviving on the fight on the top side, Rhynek already in front of those. DDD goes on a killing spree. Riggs next on the list for this Ezreal, as the rest of the team is locked with Dark Knight. DDD will pick up a double kill. Now Dark King, the next to fall to Shmion. Ikari's left in a 1 versus 3, and it's a 1 for 5. One dies on the bot side in the 1v1, the other 4 die in a 4 versus 4, and Atakan is free taking for the bandits. They are more than happy in this situation. They are executing a clinical performance, showing nothing but mastery over Infernus.
Well, where do you even begin? First of all, this is why, people, you use your pot, because that pot kept Maddox alive, and seemingly a bit of a, kind of not necessary to be that aggressive 1v1, but hey, it worked out anyway. It made sure that Servia was not going to be in the fight, and then kind of what I was mentioning before about the disengage on the side of Bandits, and they kind of helped them in this. You have the Hecarim kind of going in, but the Ezreal was just kind of off in the corner, couldn't really get to him once all of the dashes and things were used. It was just making it so that DDD could just hit and hit and hit, and with the mere mana, it's no wonder why he was able to get the triple kill, and this is looking really good for Bandits. This soul is pretty much for their grabbing.
Certainly is, but we can see
Maddox
Gucci
might be
looking
in
onto
some trouble.
Matix here. If they can find this, they give themselves an angle. Shockwave goes wide, but it goes shifting sands. The ultimate is jumped away from by Rig, but it just doesn't matter. Matix a good stopwatch as the rest of bandits barrel down the other lanes. Dragon is up, but it looks like Gucci, they might not be able to press for it. Looks like they will. JI moving in to steal the bot side jungle away. Scooby moving down towards this dragon. We can see a teleport coming in from Severa. Shmion and DDD pushing in towards this mid lane. Dragon goes down. It is collected by a good chi, but JI and Scooby, that hit play, keep out. DDD and Shmion are moving in. Ikari gets knocked up and stunned. Shock blast to the face. Rigged is running for the hills. Severa doing what they can as well. Rhynek got the back off. Looks like the price for this dragon will be Severa. The rest of Gucci gone with the wind in that miniature heist.
I mean, they could have been Bandits a little bit more aggressive in putting pressure on the bot side before they got the dragon, and obviously Gucci kind of countered as the fact that Matrix was just kind of hanging around and almost got a kill out of that. But I think after that, there was really no need for Bandits to try to fight that. I mean, it's, like the Chemtech Soul isn't like going to completely change Gucci's fortune, them getting the one dragon. They had already a ton of push on the top and mid side. I think they should have just tried to take the turrets and just get an inhib from that. I think that would have been a little bit more beneficial. All they really got was 2 kills here, and they're still very much in the lead, but I certainly think that it would have been a better trade for them just to kind of go for the turrets and just kind of leaving the dragon be. Because it's going to be still probably no matter what, no matter for Gucci to get back. And now we have Baron in a mid, and that seems like probably going to be the fight that decides the fate of Chi.
Certainly could be. We will see as this game starts to come to its crescendo. 7,000 gold within the lead. 50 seconds on the Baron. Scooby taking a bit of chunk from Severa here. 2 items on this Orianna now. Does start to hurt. But Rigged on the bottom side, not ready to contest with his team. And of course, if this Hecarim's not around, you can't step in to try and fight for vision. So Bandits are going to just own this river for now. J.I. on the backside of the bot lane of Gucci Infernus. Rhynek using the humans to try and get away. Zakari going to be the sacrificial sub-Nautiloid. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Shmion going to get caught out here as this bot lane tower goes down. Ultimate use from Riggs means Shmion will get shut down. It's on to Rhynek and Severa to defend their base. The teleport to this tower by Matix. Will Good Chi decide to keep pressing it? Rigged and Dark and King both still down here. Matix doing what he can, but a very good Emperor's Divide. Dark King jumps across, but one's already dead. Shifting Sands will take Matix to safety, and Dark King can do nothing but watch on in horror. No way of killing this inhibitor. One wrong step and you will fall to this Azir. The inhibitor tower in the mid lane has fallen on the other side. Stun goes wide on this bottom side. The inhibitor will go down in the mid lane as well. This is not a base race. This is a base domination as Dark King falls to Matix. The rest of the bandits will back off towards this Baron Nashor, leaving Good Chi Infernus in nothing more than shambles. 3 members strong, chasing down the rest of the bandits.
I'm a bit short-sighted from Bandits, not expecting the fact that Hecarim and Irelia, Jace can still be 2v1 by those 2 champions pretty easily. It's not like having a normal tank that can kind of survive dive, early on once he passes 11, and that kind of cost them a couple turrets right off the bat. I think Bandits could have been a little bit more aggressive in getting back there, but Maddox shows his play on Azir was quite effective, and they were obviously able to counter, still getting it into him. You really don't want to base race a scenario like that. I think it's just too risky of a scenario. It gives the other team a good chance of coming back in the game because there's so many just random variables that can happen. But after all that, we need to go back to the fact that after they killed Ikari, did you say nautiloid? Was that the word you used? Because I believe that's the word of the day. Sub-nautiloid, everyone. That's never heard that phrase before. That's the word of the day. Put that on your billboard. Not billboard, your bulletin board. Sub-nautiloid. That is the word we will all remember.
Baron started up by the bandits, and I don't think Good Chi can even look to contest, and this may just be the final nail in the coffin. Gold lead only 4,000 now. It has been backtrodden a little bit, but it's only going to continue to grow with this Nashor secured. 50 seconds on the Dragon. The bandits in no situation to have to reset, barreling down this mid lane, and with 5 members even, in this bottom side jungle for Good Chi, there's nobody left to defend the base. Rigged, running back now, but Dark King's going to get cancelled. Rhynek going to have to cancel, because the Chain of Corruption goes slightly wide. Ikari has joined in the fray. Spectral Fissure tags onto Audrey from Scooby. A beautiful True Shot Barrage from DDD. And all 3 members are eviscerated for Good Chi. The bandits find their background entrance as JI is tanking up the entirety of Rigged and Samira's damage as Rigged is popped by Matix. And with 4 members down and Oriana left standing and JI escaping with his life, this should be game for the bandits. A Baron in tow, a full wave in the mid lane, and nothing but pride and domination showing for them as Severa falls as expected at this point. The bandits save themselves from relegations.
Well done to them. Not really know what I was expecting going into that, but I was pretty impressed with Bandits. I mean, they controlled the map relatively well, maybe a little bit slower than I would have wanted, but they weren't too, they weren't too bad at making mistakes. They weren't over aggressive as much. They kind of left the bot lane a little bit more suspect than they wanted, and they got the Irelia path back. But Mattis clearly showed, and the team showed that they have a ton of confidence with him because he was just able to hold side lanes with Azir, do pretty incredible things with the Emperor's Divide and with his Shurima Shuffle, and able to manage these 2v1s extremely well. One of the pieces that just helped the overall dominance of Bandits. Jonathan the jungler, just pretty much dominant all around the map. Rigged, I mean, sorry to say, my Hecarim points sadly proven right. It felt like that champion just did nothing the entirety of the game. And congrats to Bandits. They saved themselves from relegation.
Certainly did. Bandits 2.0 had a Good Chi Infernus in a chokehold. We're going to throw back to the desk to break down exactly how that chokehold came about. Trajan, it's back to you.
Thank you, Luna and Frisky. A decisive win here for the Bandits 2.0. Harold, very happy with that one, I imagine. Good Chi Infernus struggling there. Temporal, as Frisky had said, the Hecarim Gambit just didn't pay off today. We just did not see it pay off today.
Yeah, a few onslaughts of shadows not landing. You are stuck on rails with that champion. Every ult must sort of preclude the next and getting stronger and stronger. And instead, the horse never really got up to speed.
No, stayed in the stable today, I'm afraid. Rig did not get out there. Harold, on a scale of 1 to him, how would you rate Schmiel's performance today into Dark King?
Nah, man, this is it's selective targeting. Like, this Hecarim was permanently top lane. This is criminal. Like, you can't do this to him, man. This is unfair. I will be opening an investigation into this. This is clearly not the right way to do it. Jokes aside, very well done on the side of the Bandits to open up every other way of winning the game. It didn't matter that the Hecarim was like trying to force this lead top lane. When you have Matix being so consistent and you have the bot lane just being so proficient in the 2v2, it doesn't really matter if they keep camping top lane, and Shmiel is still able to absorb farm enough. So good on the Bandits to choke Chi out of the game, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a big adage, but not panicking when the Aurelia starts to get going is a positive, I promise.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dark King put together a couple of kills and some of those scraps in topside, but ultimately it turned into kind of a CS lead and not that much more else. Couldn't overcome the deficit. The rest of the map was decidedly on fire for Gucci in Furnace, I guess aptly. But the Azir and the Ezreal were very, very strong. We saw massive performances out of that Ezreal Braum combo that you were building up, Harold. That was very, very effective. The Braum setting up kills all across the map. The Ezreal going absolutely crazy with the damages, dealing with the dives. And then Matix on some of those, that solo Azir play in the bot lane, slipping away on double-digit HP, just solo diving, making great use out of the damage that Azir can pump out. So, yeah, very happy, I think, with the Bandits carries. I think had a very, very, very good day today. So, a well-deserved win, as they will move to 3 and 4. Unfortunately, Gucci and Furnace will drop to 2 and 5. Next week, the last games of that Division 2 split will come around. So they will be fighting to stay in that division or face the wrath of open qualifiers. For now, we're going to go to a short break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with our first Div 1 game of the day in Quick versus Broad Friends. For sure, guaranteed 1,000,000% banger. You do not want to miss this. We'll see you back here in a few.
Hi.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back on the desk here, ready to set up for game number 2 in Quick versus Broad and Friends. Now, Quick are still clean sheet, 8-0 shooting for the lossless regular stage. Broad and Friends in third right now, close behind on 6-2. A win here would lock them in third. A loss opens up the door to drop down to fourth. That seeding into that winner's kick could decide their first round matchup, could be pivotal for their early playoffs performance. So, in Quick, guys, despite the flaws that I feel like I try really hard to make obvious every week when I'm like, they're not perfect, guys. This could be the game where they lose. Guys, no, for sure, this is the one where they lose, guys. Temporal,
yeah.
We're still here, 8-0. We're still here. The loss just refuses to come.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Let's be real. Like, I think Broad probably are one of their tougher challenges, maybe the toughest challenge. Excuse me. As Broad, in my eyes, have scaled up a little bit over the split and been even more of an ever-present threat. I think the team's developed quite nicely, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And even with the substitutes, an in-quick game often looks, at its worst, slightly sketched till 25 minutes, and then they ace and win. Because there is just that much leadership and that much skill and that much wallet, normally from the marksman position, to hit someone with.
Yes, I think so. Just as an aside, we may have lost Temporal on the stream for the last 10 seconds. I have now regained him in my ears only once. But for now, generally, I guess the theme is, and the overall takeaway, because we did get most of that, is that the loss just isn't going to come, I guess, in Temporal's opinion, despite the sketchiness. And I think it's a good term. It's pretty sketchy at times. Harold, do you think that, are you in agreement here? Is the loss just never going to happen? Is it kind of the strength's too strong to let the weaknesses take the win away?
I think a lot of their decisive victories have been around teams that seem to fumble the major neutral mark. It feels like as soon as like the stakes on the map step up, most of In Quick recognize that, okay, if we can snowball this into chaining these two objectives together, we're gonna be fine. And it felt like it against most of the teams. It felt like it against us as soon as like they turned up the heat around the Baron and around the Yatakan. It did feel like it was a lot more concentrated. Like they just felt a more team-like going into those fights. So I do think In Quick certainly have the possibility to just drop something if you can win the game before 24 minutes. Because then they start getting Barons, and they start getting pressure on the map, and Curb starts being on the side laning.
Yeah, and we start to suffer. Curb, for what it's worth, I think has really stepped up in the last few weeks. He was always a little bit of a problem at times, especially during the promotion series, getting into Div 1 and early on. Despite the interesting picks, once we got to that later stage, that Tryndamere game stands out to me as just that's a maximum Curb energy pick that no one else is playing. Destabilizes the entire map for the opponent, and ends up just having huge effect that no one can deal with. So we are seeing Kerberos start to really retain and get back to that form, which is very big for a 5IQ, I think. Now, let's talk a little bit about that substitution. Karina not playing today, so replacing we have Lipsol, I believe. Now, Harold, you were very interested in the potential jungle matchup here of Port versus Karina before. Tell us a little bit about what do you think IQ is losing here with Karina, and how do you think it's maybe going to affect the way they play out this game?
Oh, in my opinion, they're losing the most versatile jungler in the league. Well, Karina has been playing everything, mostly carries, mostly the Fury, to be honest. But there's no stranger in the G2 Hell Days to play facilitators, to play something for the team. Now she has also played the Carters coming through. She is the kind of jungler that will just pick the pick that will fit with the comp. And I do feel like you're losing out a little bit, because it does feel like if this game starts going badly, you run Arena on the side of Inquick. And you just make the plays through the jungler. You try and get at the steal. You try and create a disruption that allows you to gain back tempo into the game. Lipsol, we don't really have any information. I wonder if they're gonna go towards more of a meta pick. Probably again, we talked earlier the possibility of the Xin Zhao coming through early.
So I've had a look. Interesting aside, I've just looked down his OPGG. Did you guys take a quick brief look?
I've not seen it yet.
One
hit us with
champion is played a lot more than the others. Do you want to take a guess? Should we do it? Should we do a skit?
Okay, what?
Give
if
you a
you're
clue.
one
It's
trick in
not
jungle right
Karina's
now,
favorite champion.
Who are we one trick in jungle right now
Sejuani.
to actually have fun?
Interesting. Harold has committed incorrectly.
Imagine being a one-trick Sejuani. Imagine doing that to yourself. Like, come on now.
We'll humble you, that, buddy.
Is it Lee Sin?
Oh, close, but no cigar for Trajan. Talon with Ignite
Okay. Talon jungle.
and a
It's
little
not the
bit
theory,
of voodoo.
but it basically is.
Just a little bit of voodoo. So
Okay.
we'll see if that gets up.
We're getting the draft here. We'll see how if Broad and Friends has checked the tapes on that one. And we'll see if we earn a Talon ban, because this is a region and a league where jungle bans come frequently and often in these drafts here. So Temporal, if we're maybe waiting and we're not sure what we're getting out of the jungle as these first bans come through, for Int Quick, if we need to find another hero, another place to focus, another win condition as it were, are we looking for Kerberos to step up again? Are we looking for the BZZ? Are we getting Dragdar to hope there's an Ezreal angle? Like, what are we looking for here?
I don't think you're getting Ezreal or Zed tonight. -2 bans for Int Quick, so they're not going to be able to remove sort of many champions from Broad and Friends. That's for the late substitution with Lipsol. And with that in mind, you do get a bit pinched. I think they're probably just going to play something stock and standard, and that does mean Kerberos might have to pick up the carry pants that we've seen Int Quick wear so well this split.
Yeah, I think Akaz is well positioned to manage a Kerberos, zany pick. I think a person who's been around the houses a lot of splits right now, has a very wide pool, can play weak side, can try and punish with a carry if needed. So Broad and Friends potentially do have a decent answer to some of Kerberos's antics as we get through these first round of bans. The Ezreal, the Zed, and the Dragdar Varus, the kind of the Dragdar go-to. Well, they've banned my Ezreal, so I'm just going to be one Varus, has been removed. So we'll see what's going to be instead, as the only ban that Int Quick went for was the Vi. Second time we've seen the solo Vi ban in that first rotation. And despite the fact that we do not have Karina, we do have Kittenly back in the bot side, and that means first pick Lulu. Harold, first pick Lulu. Any thoughts? I mean, it is Kittenly Lulu, I guess. It's not necessarily just a...
Yeah. I wonder if Zeta plays Blitzcrank. I would love to see a Blitzcrank here coming through from Broad. Just slam it down, throw down the gauntlet, and say...
Crank. Yeah.
Just say, okay. Oh, man.
Is
The
Israel
boring
realistically
pick, I guess.
getting into range of Lulu? Like,
No.
this feels like a tricky one, yeah.
This feels like Zeta might be getting 1v1'd by Kittenly here. We'll see if that comes to pass. I do like the Telia pair-up with the Rel, so you can't have it picked against you. But you are sort of playing with the champions you've just got in mind and ignoring Int Quick, which is a bit rough after a 2-ban miss. Ashe also not banned, so I wonder if Int Quick will lean towards that for Dragdar.
Yeah, they might hover towards the Ashe, or probably maybe something like a Jhin, but Jhin doesn't really work well with...
Nah, we got a 1v5, Harold. Come on, put the carry pants on.
Okay,
Where is
speaking
that
of-
Echo going now?
That's the thing, right? Because we don't really know what Lipsol... We know Lipsol is a talent player, likes to right-click AD carries and backlines and watch them disappear. So, Echo certainly could be the choice right here. We'll see what Dragdar wants to potentially pair up in this first phase. I like Kikor taking the Talia as well as one of the go-to secondary options for BZ. When the Zed is denied, he's been going back to the Talia a lot, but that is now denied as the Lucian is paired up. So, Harold, it's not the Jhin. We've got the Lucian instead, presumably in Dragdar, though again, not guaranteed could be mid lane. So Lucian Lulu, how are we feeling? It's not Lucian Nami, but we still good
I
here?
mean, Lucian plus Enchanter is always going to be
Always hits.
okay. Well, but the thing is, Lulu's big value is also the attack speed steroid, and Lucian doesn't really care about that. But the combo that I thought was going to come through comes through. It's the Talia Pantheon coming through from the side of Broad. This is already setting up to be a really tough game for BZ, because Pop can just show up mid at any point in the game and make your life out. Now, I wonder if this is going to be an Echo mid lane. He has a very interesting, very strong trading pattern into the Talia, as his dash is not a dash, it's a blink. So he can go over that the Unraveled Earth and just deal the burst. But with the Udyr ban coming through, I wonder if this is actually going to be BZ on the Echo, and you're setting up for a bit of a more exotic pick, I guess, in the jungle for Lipso.
Yeah, maybe Rod and Friends just trying to cut the flexibility down. Maybe go, well, you better take the Echo now because we're not going to give you a backdoor with the Udyr out, BZ on the Echo. This could have been the choice, right? So we're going to try and force them into that. Oh, I like banning the Spark Kai'Sa as well. Insane highlights out of this guy on the Kai'Sa recently. I think it was last week. So Spark going to be denied that one. Into the Lucian, I mean, I wouldn't imagine the Kai'Sa has an incredibly fun time, but potentially would be able to just hold out until the scaling hits.
Curves nicely into the rest of the game and sort of makes up for Porp's damage profile being all physical and all fall off. Rod and Friends just going to take away the Vayne. They're not convinced, as am I, that this Lucian is actually for the bottom lane. The Akbessa, the attack from the top lane, happy to see this banned away. Or I think Kerberos might regret his quiet quitting in solo queue. Because anything that gets Ak as a 1v1 here is going to make a big difference. He's definitely getting R5.
I think that Vayne's more thrown towards Kerberos.
That as well.
Yeah, they're trying to keep him honest in this lane, to be honest. Like, fight me with a melee champion, please, sir. And I think that is definitely what Akers would love to see. Exactly, yeah. Proceeds to make Lux top and like, owned.
It hurts.
Yep.
It hurts so bad.
I expected this. I was already thinking about the Tristana. It's been
telling
one
us
of Spark's
about,
favorite solo
quote-unquote,
champions.
Get Eddie carries. And Tristana was one of the one that you said, so you must be happy to see this come in.
I mean, Tristana fits into two windows in the same game. She is an early game lane bully and a hyperscaler. She outranges Caitlyn in the late game, and in the early game, the all-in power is just kind of ridiculous. Yep. It's a very strong champion. Like, that's just how the cookie... that's how it is, but... Okay, now we can for sure tell that Karina isn't playing today. That is a Jarvan.
Yes. So they have managed to get BZ on the Echo, potentially intentionally or not. We'll never know unless we potentially ask them at some point. But Temporal with a Jarvan Echo mid-jungle, both high mobility, high burst, melee. It seems kind of scary, to be honest, if they actually get on top of anybody.
It's pretty decent. Echo has an easier time than most getting over Talia Stones, which is somewhat important. On that approach, and the Rise coming in is just making me think that Inkquick is going to wait and figure this out, because it is not impossible that Curb isn't on his classic Halo Blades Echo here, and that's going to mean Akers has a difficult choice for R5 rather than a straightforward one. His Rumble is open, and okay.
We've gone for the Yorick. Ranged options in lane, decent kind of harass against a short-range mage like Rise, who cannot sit like Cassiopeia and kind of avoid the question entirely. Harold, Yorick top, potentially into Rise or Echo. Like, if we had to pick a Yorick matchup for him, who does he want to see? Does he want to see Echo, or does he want to see Rise?
Probably would like the Echo more. Melee range can get those grass procs, can get that trade back. But the thing is, the Rise with the spell flux and the overloads, he can clear those. Ghouls pretty effectively. Yeah. You do tend to outscale his damage later on with the health that the ghouls get now, with the changes that Yorick has gone through. But it's not a happy matchup early on. Rise has a disgustingly deceptive amount of damage early on.
He does. It's not as easy for Rise in the canon anymore. Like, if we're 5 years back and Yorick has received, a bit of attention, but not today's attention, Rise walks him. It is painful. But for some reason, like, Yorick spawns 4 little champions now. And they sponge like crazy. So I'm not sure. I think the Echo might have a pretty good time of it, I'm pretty sure his passive one-shots them.
Then the question becomes whether the Dark Procession just makes it really difficult, or just gives you bad windows once you use that Echo E to try and take the trade. So, skill matchup.
Yeah,
Trying
Akers is chosen well. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
gotta trust them, I
trying to
guess.
pin Int Quick down into a comp or a strategy is a fool's errand, to be honest. We will simply see what order they're in and what lane they show up in, and we will find out. And Broad and Friends will have to adapt, right? This is a team that has strong synergy, experience, they've got good versatility, but they have a very strange opponent in front of them today. Int Quick have managed to bamboozle everyone else in this region with their skill and their drafting. So, at this point, Broad and Friends, one of our favorites, one of our strongest teams, Temporal, you didn't believe that Int Quick would receive the loss today. Do you still believe that we're going to have the 9-0 from them? Or do you think they've zaned themselves their last zane and will end up going 8-1?
I think they've zaned. I'm not sure if it's zane enough to lose.
It's not the last one.
I think it might be zany to put the 5 IQ moment back from 25 minutes to maybe like 40. I think we're going to see an Ack attack in the side lane.
Yeah.
And it's going to be about managing Akkers for them to have a clean win. Because if they try this like mess into Death Push and they haven't dealt with the Yorick, he'll win the race probably, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Harold, are you in agreement? Do you think Int Quick are going to take it? Do you think Broad and Friends have built something that can deal with the Chaos engine in front of them?
I've been called a broad detractor before. I've always though maintained the fact that they are one of the better teams in the league. I feel like this draft gives them a good avenue to match what Int Quick want, and I think the loss of Karina is just too much. So I am saying there's no gladiators in this split. There's no undefeated team. Broad will take the win today.
Nope. Okay.
Well, a little leak from the back rooms. The
quickly.
rapid onboarding for Lipsol went something like this: Bot is playing enchanters. Top will not play engage. Please choose your engage now.
Well,
so with that in mind, best of luck, Lipsol. You're gonna need it, and I think
Have a good one.
we're adding some more feathers to the broad cap as we go. They are very good 5 IQ, and I have no doubt Lipsol's going to have a fantastic debut here in the Four Nations. However, I'm leaning towards the Ack attack tonight.
Yeah. Okay, so Broad favors on the desk. A rare sight in the Four Nations, but let's see if they can reward the analysts here today. Let's pass it back over to Luna and Frisky to get the cast on for Int Quick versus Broad and Friends.
Thank you, Trajan, Temporal, and Harold. We've heard the desks break down, so once again, Frisky, I'm going to ask you the same question as I did last game. Nameplates off, who's taking this game?
I'll say Broad. I say nameplates off Broad, just from comps alone. This was definitely one, again, you can't take the nameplates off because, I mean, I've said things about Int Quick's drafts before, and they're certainly a wild team that I don't think anybody was expecting to go potentially undefeated this split, and I don't really think I can count them out. Now, there is no Karina, so I think that is a big difference in how they're kind of going to move around the map, how they're potentially going to call for the game. So I think they almost kind of went for some more picks that they thought would do pretty well in the lane. I think it's going to be a really weird match at the end of the day. The Yorick, I think we all agree that it's relatively strong right now. W5D1 has shown some interesting games on it. I think it's strong, but not crazy strong. I think it can be dealt with, but I think it's also a good pick against Rise. It can handle him pretty well, especially in the early game, and that's going to help them earlier on. I think Broad and Friends just have a better comp for both the early game and the mid game. You've got the Pantheon supported by the Rel and the Talia, who can, swoop in and attack much better, push everyone away on the side of Int Quick. You've got the fact that the Tristana and Rel aggressive in the bot lane. That's why the Lucian kind of had to take the cleanse. And it's going to, I think, make Dragdar a really, give him a really hard lane. I already think Lucian and Lulu is just a really weird lane in general. It would kind of open up for the fact that the Tristana and Rel could just be picked and just be so much more aggressive in that. It's just going to be hard for them to do anything, I would think. But at the same time, 5 IQ team of Int Quick have been, maybe wrong before, Dragdar has shown some amazing games. you know what? Who knows at this point? I thought the Division 2 game was going to be the wild and crazy one. Everyone buckle up and make sure you buckle your seatbelts well, because I think this one's going to be the real wild ride.
Certainly could be. Ignite for BZ in that mid lane on this Echo. Zed taken away. Natalia picked by QQR. BZ's had to find something new to play for us here today. It is that Echo in this first game. And as you mentioned, Dragdar could have a very hard lane, but we've also seen him pop off left, right, and center. But Kerberos on this rise into the Yorick champion, we know he knows incredibly well. It's going to be an interesting game for the first of our Division 1 games today.
I also think the fact that the mid game. Would you want to say something? I can let you speak first.
I'm going to say, that being said, we're seeing junglers pathing opposite sides again.
They both start opposite sides. That's interesting. I don't think that's intentional. But I was going to say, I think the mid game split pushing on the side of Broad is going to be a lot better than what in Quick have, and I think it's actually going to be hard to deal with, because you not only have a really good 1-3-1 with the Yorick and the Tristana being able to put in the side lanes, but you've got a decently fast champion on Rel, and then Talia and Pantheon, who have, I guess I wouldn't call them global ults, but obviously they're far-reaching ults, so any kind of counter on one side that in Quick might to do to stop some of the pushing, you can just have Broad and friends come over from the mid lane and stop that happening, and then you still get a very heavy push on another side of the lane, and then they can even make you take an objective from that. So I think if they anything, just kind of chill in the early game, don't let in Quick kind of be super aggressive, which they're sometimes known to do as a kind of more wild card team in the early game. They just need to kind of handle their 1-3-1, and it's going to be really hard, I think, for in Quick to do anything. But Dragdar's making me wrong.
Kittenly just flashed forward with the Glitter Lance to try and find the kill onto Spark. Didn't quite find it, but good God.
Oh my!
Forwards with the Relentless Pursuit, finds the first blood onto Spark. Shields will do a lot of work. Zayta now next on the list, but Porp is here. The stun comes down. It's an execute onto Kittenly, but Porp picks up his first onto Dragdar.
See, everything I said out the window, gone, put it into the waste bin, have the council come pick it up and throw it somewhere away. My word. I mean, Dragdar already showing that, hey, analysis don't mean anything when I can get these kills in the bot lane. Already putting a ton of pressure on Spark. We've seen how well he can do this entire split and showing it once again. Pretty good counter from Pop. At least saw the fact that that lane was going poorly and was passing the right way, just to let me get that kill, because Dragdar was spacing really well. Now BZ doing more.
Okay, that's a trade of flashes in the mid lane. I'm not going to question it.
Don't question it. It'll hurt your brain too much. The more you question, the more you realize you don't know what's happening.
Porp sitting in this tri-brush still around this bottom side. Could be looking for yet another aggressive play on towards Dragdar and Kittenly. A flash forward from Zayta is good for the shattering strike line on Kittenly. Kittenly's now stunned up and deleted. Spark rocket jumping away, trying to keep himself alive, and will be fine as Dragdar now left in this 1 versus 2, potential 1 versus 3. Jarvan starts moving. Dragdar stepping forwards, takes the shattering strike, takes the remount, takes a lot of damage for very little onto Spark. Lipsol can just
They're
watch.
scaring me. I'd be really careful, and they need to be backing a bit further, because Dragdar is definitely feeling himself, and he's going to be pushing up a little bit more, even with not a ton of health. They have to be really careful with him, especially in the mid and late game. I would say focus everything onto Dragdar. This Echo probably is going to be a relative nuisance, but I mean, this Lucian is really starting to be aggressive in the lane, and if you have a fight like that where you kill a Lulu first and don't get on him immediately, he can maybe counter the fights and instantly turn it into in Quick's favor.
Mika Kittenly hovering around this mid lane, but Zayta and Porp both in the area as well. BZ not having that teleport needs a little bit of help to get these waves under to be able to leave, to be able to get this reset off in record time. Just a bit of a fouling simulator in the top side. The rest of the action is all on this bottom side. Dragon up and available. Lipsol on towards this top side. Porp towards the bottom side. Could be looking for a play onto Akkers here. Looks like that will be the call. Flash is down as Kerberos flashes forwards. Doesn't quite get caged up. Takes a lot of damage to the Maiden. Kerberos having to run away. Flag and Drag will knock Akkers up. And Kerberos is still living. The Maiden is hitting onto Lipsol though. And there's just not enough damage. A flash away is good, but it might not be enough. Rules are being killed and both will escape with their lives. But there's 2 flashes blown to try and kill Akkers. And they got nowhere.
Really showing the different court. Oh my god, you can't even analysis.
Just dead.
I knew she was gonna have trouble in that lane. The fact that the Rel Tristana combo, can kill her so quickly, especially with the Pantheon coming in, it's gonna make it really hard for them to do anything. But Dragdar's, such an aggressive laner, he can do a lot. Anyway, back to the top lane. Akkers proving, he should be on Yorick, and Yorick is still a pretty strong pick. It also shows the fact that Inquick don't really have a ton of synergy with this new jungler. The fact that the Ryze and the Jarvan were not really synced in how they wanted to do that play. They're both backing off a little bit too much, letting York get more health back. And he was able to not get any kills, but we got more kills here.
Going so low. Barrier pop by Spark. Heal pop by Kittenly. Maybe what they can. Spark going incredibly low. Does have that rocket jump back up and available, but the Dragon's gone down for Porp. Has that level 6 now. Could look for a dive onto bot lane if they want it. But it's their BZ and Jarvan have ended up in the pit. There's a shutdown going across to our Echo. Lipsol trying to live. Gets the flag and drag knock up. QQ are trying to get what damage down they can, but it's not quite enough. It's a double kill for this Echo.
It was a great counter. A lot happening right off the bat. I don't think they expected that after the 2v2 in the bot lane. They were probably thinking relatively safe, but if anything, that was a good counter right off the bat, that the mid and jungler of Inquick could just instantly counter when Broad was doing the Dragon. They knew that the Talia and maybe the Pantheon were still going to be there. Now that's 2 kills for BZ. Can be moving all around the map a lot more now, the fact that he's got 2 kills. Probably going to have either a Rocket Belt or... I don't even know what you build with Echo. Yeah, Rocket Belt still. I figured that was still the normality. Now he can move around the map a lot more. Maybe help Inquick get some position back on the map that they're going to need.
Certainly could. Looks like the Grubs are just going to be going across for now, though. Lipsol on towards that bot side. 5 IQ. They're really not looking for much here. Kerberos in the river, but with 3 members around, he doesn't want to step too far forwards. Going to be a bit of a slower situation now. 3.5 minutes on the next Dragon. We shouldn't see any fights for the foreseeable future.
Shouldn't is the right word. Will we? Probably. Somebody's going to be aggressive on the side of Inquick. I mean, Dragdar is definitely smelling blood like a bloodhound. This Echo and BZ moving a lot more on the map. I mean, do they want to try to go kill Akkers? Pretty even right now. I mean, it really is just going to depend on what objectives are going to be secured, who's going to get more on the map, and that's going to come down to the individual kills. So maybe everybody is going to be a little bit more safe, as you said. But like I said, I don't think that's going to happen, because every time I say people should be playing safe, they don't. For example...
It's going to get tagged up by the E there, stuck in the cage. A good use. A random teleport as Lipsol has now come up to try and find the return kill onto Akkers. I'm sorry, I got stunlocked for a second there.
Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one. That was there was a play. It was like 2021 World where like the guy, there was like a Brazilian top laner. He like TP'd like right next to him or on Urgot or something like that. Maybe somebody remembers that play, but that kind of gave me vibes to that. I'm not sure what he was thinking. I mean, teleport is also. It wasn't 10 minutes when he was teleporting. It was still going to be a good few seconds until he was going to be teleporting out. So, panic, I suppose, is the right word to say that. I mean, it understandably stun locks you. And, just a good, play from Akkers, clearly showing that the dominance of this York in the top lane is going to be a presence. Probably going to be able to get this topside turret relatively soon and open up the map more.
You could be looking for it. We shall see. It's not an ideal situation to be in as Inquick, but with this Dragon coming up in 1 minute and 30, anything can happen. Porp off towards that top side, hasn't used that Grand Starfall just yet, but is the looming threat of it should be enough to keep 5 IQ on their toes. BZ sitting low on mana in this mid lane, and once again does not have that teleport. So really, really struggles to get back out on the map after shoving a wave. Kerberos is behind the enemy tower top lane, and going to fall again to Akers.
Why was he there? Where was he? I need to replay all that. Why was he over there? He's so far. Like, I'm so confused. I mean, his lane was like kind of pushing. It probably was in the middle last time I checked it, but like, I wish I could understand this. So I was gonna make a point that I'm not sure what the Ryze can do in the mid game on the fact that his team fight presence is all about getting close to the enemies, and you've got so much on the side of Broad that can push him away, back him off, and stop him from using as many abilities as possible. But it's gonna make it even harder now if he's just running in. I mean, Rod of Ages is gonna be pretty helpful, but why did he do that? Why did he do that? Curb, like, can we, like, everyone make sure he's okay. We want all the players to be as okay as possible. Please make sure your players are fine, because with the TP and with running in, I hope he's okay. Questionable decisions from Inquick right off the bat.
See, Dragon is now up and available, and it will be 5IQ moving towards it. 3 members strong in the bot lane for Broad and Friends. They could look to contest, but Pork just going to look for that reset, going to give it across. For now, slow and steady will in fact win the race, as the gold lead is only about 400 gold for Broad and Friends. As the chem plants bloom and we enter our second Chemtech Rift of the game, it is a dragon apiece, grubs to Broad and Friends, one objective away from securing feats.
Lacking of a jungler lacking of their consistent jungler and having a different one on the side of Inquick is also hurting, because the amount that Karina called is probably going to help the game a lot, and they are not calling the fact that this Ryze needs to get the heck away from this York, getting hit really badly right now. I think they need to be put in the Echo top side. We'd obviously like the Echo moving across the map. Would have been helpful with TP, but I digress. He's going to try to play bot lane, but the Ryze is just going to consistently get beat out over and over and over again by this York, and it already happened a little bit more. If they want to make use of the Ryze, get him some farm, get him in the mid lane, at least a little bit more stable. But they're trying something on the Talia.
You are forced to flash away from Lipsol's Cataclysm there. Blowing that flash is imperative to allowing BZ to continue to play this game. BZ subscribing to the not leveling ult until you absolutely need it mentality. Level 11, still no point in ult. Likely has 2 points available to spend.
Man, I thought it was going to get crazy, but it certainly hasn't been. I want more crazy. I need some crazy. I think it will be. Everyone's kind of holding their breath right now, kind of finding their bearings after some troubling Kerberos hits, but we'll see some action no matter what, because the 1-3-1 on the side of Broad is going to be strong enough where Inquick are going to have to deal with it.
First tower goes down top lane and secures Broad and Friends. Feats of strength. Drag Dart and Kitley not able to get there fast enough to stop it. Corp is just covering his top laner. Akers happy to sit in this 2v1, I would wager. Kitley moving off towards the jungle. BZ is in the area, but so is Zeta. So 3 versus 3 as Akers has half health Drag Dart in the blink of an eye. Herald spawning in a couple of seconds, and we could see a big team fight for this now. He lands from Akers onto Drag Dart to land the slow. No ghouls to jump forwards as yet, though. So we see mid lane, BZ and Lipsol looking onto QQR. They will find him, but Pork stuns up BZ under the tower. It does not matter. It's a Chrono Break. Chrono Break should save them. Zeta, though,
Magnet Storm.
found the engage. Flash from BZ. Cataclysm onto Pork. Knock up onto Zeta. BZ gets out with his life. Kittenly with the shielding. And Lipsol with the CC. This Echo does not die. He lives to see another day. This is not a timeline where BZ gets punished.
Well, 5IQ are definitely looking to go, I think, for a dive on the Yorick, which I think with him with Flash and at full health, that really wasn't a good idea. So good they backed off on that at least. Now they're going for him now. Seems like probably going to finish him off, I hope.
Likely
there's no way.
Culling comes in. Flash away is good from Akers. But the flag and drag donating the kill across to the AD carriers. Akkers will fall, the Herald is available, and it may just be 5 IQs for the taking.
Yeah, not surprising that he at least tried to push out when the issues were happening in the mid lane. But I think 5IQ did a good switch, went for the Talia in the mid, used Echo's abilities along with the Jarvan to make sure that she was locked down, and then they immediately counter and go get the Yorick the fact he was pushing so that no other the Yorick or anybody else would come and try to take their Herald from them. So, decent, grab backs from the side of In Quick is kind of what you want. Just set up a couple plays that get people off the map, get your objectives back, and, kind of work your way back into the game. Because now the gold is completely even. Well, not completely even, about 200 difference. But, with Kerberos' issues, it seemed like it was going to be a further, lead coming on the side of Broad. But the fact that they put him in the bot lane is exactly what they need. Now we're just going to be waiting to farm up for the bigger team fights.
Certainly will be, because we can see Pork just walking aggressively into Lipsol's jungle, looking for something. 004 on this Jarvan has come in Karina's place, and is making moves on the map very effectively. This is not a style we typically see out of Inkquick, and they are doing a very good job of adapting to the change. BZ 300 on this Echo, Dragdar 210 on this Lucian. Dragon spawning in 8 seconds. If they can find the line into this river, it could get scary for Broad and friends. The 4 versus 4 as BZ has found their way onto the backline. Managed to find a good chunk of damage as Q-Cross Cataclysm comes down, and Lipso will find one and knock up onto 2 as Porp is going incredibly low. Will be able to back out for now, but Spark is just firing on the sideline. Zeta now has to run away with the remount, and there is no contest left. 1-0. Herald dropped in the mid lane. Dragdar is pushing the bot lane in, able to get that tower down. Akkers is fighting onto Kerberos in the top side jungle and getting very little room made. As the mid tower falls to the Herald as well. Kittenly and BZ now moving down to this dragon to aid their jungler. 5 IQ, they didn't have a great start to the game, but by God, have they come apart alight.
Certainly, Broad has had some mid laner problems before, and unfortunately, QQR, kind of showing some issues right now. The Talia has not been very effective, hasn't been spacing well with her, needs to kind of be a little bit more in the back, away from the Jarvan, away from the Echo. One wrong turn, as you saw, and the Echo on top of the Jarvan attacked her immediately. It made the fight much harder. I mean, Broad did a decent job in keeping each other alive and allowed Spark to get some shots off, so they didn't lose a ton, but the Rift Herald spawn will even instantly make the fact that the Dragon will go the way.
When did Kerberos die?
Wait, this is a good question. I just saw that. Wait, when did he die? Who did he die to? I believe he died to New York, because I don't think New York had 3 kills. Yeah, he had 3 kills, and they were both in the bot lane. I didn't even see that come up on the screen. We're talking about everything else, my word. I mean, I was going to say, what's Broad's ticket back in? That man right there, that is their ticket back in. And they're immediately, look at the bot lane, guys. Bot lane, there's a fight happening.
He's going very low, has the chrono break. Redemption comes down from Kittenly, and a lot of space is being bought. Zeta's hanging in the wings, however. Still, not many people. Spark finds Kittenly, jumps over the wall, Polymorph comes down. Parallel Convergence might just buy enough time as the Grand Star falls, stuns onto 3. Chrono Break will keep BZ healthy and happy as Pork flashes the wall and finds onto Kittenly. There's now 4 members versus BZ, and there's no ultimate to save you this time, Echo. You may fall like the Zorlights before you. As Spark picks up the shutdown, Dragdar's in mid lane, Kerberos in top lane, the bot lane 2-1 falls in favour of Broad and friends, but with 4 members strong, there's still 3 others on the map pushing your base in. What can you do to respond? Atakan is going to be the call for Pork.
Broad and Friends did exactly what they needed to do, and exactly what we're going to be talking about, in the fact that Akkers is the main force. Let's play around him. He's got some pressure. Let's get some more dives on people who have to deal with him, and they did a good job in that. They opened up the bot lane more. Now, obviously, the pressure that Inquick had been building up is going to let them take a couple more turrets, and they took the mid lane turret, which is going to help them a lot more. But now they try to immediately counter with the Otacon. We're going to have a TP, and we're just going to have a big old rumble. The chaos is beginning.
And it is. Zeta finds a stun onto Dragdar, but he's immediately Cataclysm. The Magnet Storm goes massively wide. It doesn't find anybody. Dragdar kills one on the side. Now we're looking into the next as Kerberos has arrived and is getting damage down. Akkers is waiting behind the entirety. Teleports out with his life. The Atakan got reset. The entirety of Broad and Friends had to enter a retreat. And now it is 5IQ who will reap the rewards of the punishment onto BZ.
really not ready for these team fights. I mean, their Rod is just spread out so weirdly. I mean, they're expecting to kind of play for picks and, kind of play for the side lane for the team fights that clearly in Quick are going to want to go for more. At least let the Echo, let the Jarvan, and then let Dragdar do a little bit more damage on them. They're just not ready to counter that. I don't think they know which target to go on. They probably are fearing too many people on the side of in Quick. They probably need to focus less on Kerberos because there's other people who are obviously very strong right now. The Lucian still has a shutdown on him. The Jarvan still has a shutdown on him. And eventually, no matter how many times you kill that Ryze, he will matter. And it matters right now the fact that Spark is almost dead again.
BZ doing so much damage at this point. 2 items completed, 1 more, and Spark's life will be forfeit every time BZ decides to look for him. No objective up just yet. A minute 30 on the Dragon. It would be soul point for Int Quick. We can see them 3 members strong towards this top side. Just hovering Akkers. Dragdar and Kitney towards this mid lane. Now the 3 members moving down here, but they are caught on vision, meaning this wave should be pushed out and ignored. Now Kerberos stuck in a 1v1 against the Akkers. Grand Starfall comes in. It will just be another kill in Akka's back pocket. Kerberos still not strong enough to fistfight this Yorick. It's 1 member down. What can Brod and friends do with it? This top lane tier 2 could be next on the list.
Well, Akka's just thinking ahead a little bit because they really should be pushing out, but they also are seemingly thinking of a fight happening. So that's why I think he stayed in the bush a little bit, wondering if any evildoers were going to pop their heads up, and he needed to deal with them. So I think it's good that he's a combination of keeping pressure on this top turret and then waiting for the next fight to happen. Because anytime they get a kill on Kerberos, it seems like Brod and friends, they're always able to counter, in Quick are always able to counter right off the bat. They always have to be looking for this. They also seem still a little bit clueless because they're just kind of hitting the mid turret and they're just clearing the wave very easily in Quick. But I think the Dragon is going to be kind of the next big play we see. So can Brod and friends get a better pick and not lose QQR so quickly like they did last time?
It will be a 4 versus 4. Lipsol is stunned up by that shattering strike. Dragdar's flash is down from that earlier play towards the mid lane. So if you're looking for something, now is the time. Akkers is moving. Will arrive long before BZ. Has already hit the mid lane as Kerberos is below the Dragon Pit here. What's the call for Int Quick? Will they continue to push? Will they look for the contest? Porp already in the pit. This Dragon already going incredibly low. It's already dead. Sun comes down onto Lipsol, but finds Cactus wants to. Flashes out to stay alive. Spark will jump back in and find the killing spree for himself, but BZ has already eliminated Zeta on the other side. Porp now looking onto BZ. The stun up is good, but the chrono break will stop BZ from being on any dangerous. Dragdar is just going forwards, using that relentless pursuit. True to its name, Kerberos stuck fighting Axe on the other side as Porp comes flying in thanks to the blast cone. It's a killing spree for the Pantheon in the jungle. It's a 2-for-1 so far. Will Int Quick look for more? No chrono break, no culling, no wild growth. There's nothing left to be found. Parallel convergence finds the stars. GQR will go down. BZ will trade his life for it though. Kitney now stuck as Porp runs her down. Dragdar is 1.5 miles up this lane. Now moving back. If Spark looks to over-aggress here, Dragdar potentially looking to take this blast cone in to assassinate the last remaining members of Brod and Friends, and take it in he shall.
Play the Jaws music. He's hunting.
Zeta has returned, however. And Akkers is on the back line, finds the slow one to Kitney, but has no ghouls once again. Dragdar having to go in melee range, however, the Grand Starfall comes in. The Lipsol has arrived. There's a lot of healing. Porp doing so much damage. Flag and drag to safety is good. Zeta not able to find and engage on the crash down. Still looking for something, anything. Dragdar just dipping in and out of lethal range, dipping in and out of effective range, no less. The side of Brod and Friends' redemption heals everybody back up a solid chunk of their health, and this fight has been going on for 2 minutes straight, Frisky.
I don't know if it's going to be stopped. I feel like it's just more to happening. I'm just kind of waiting for the next fight to happen. I think Zeta and Spark are kind of looking for people, but it's such weird fights right now. It's such an even game, but maybe it gets less even. Here we go.
It's a 3-man cataclysm. It's very good from Lipsol, though. Dragdar cannot be punished. A beautiful usage of the Jarvan to counteract the Talia engage, and a wonderful sidestep to boot. Lipsol is making a statement as Kerberos is on the side, fighting so much damage. Dragar finds onto Porp. Zeta, the next to fall. Kittenly will pick that one up. Lipsol is on the QQ, flashed away. Has to be burned as BZ jumps forwards. Still has the E and will find the execution. 3 members are dead in the blink of an eye for Brod and friends. The only member that fell is Kerberos. He finally finds himself some kill participation, but the Baron is alive, Frisky, and with 4 members strong, 5 IQ can find it.
The damage on the side of Broad is not enough. You've got the healing from the Echo Chrono Shift, or Chrono Break, excuse me. We've got Lulu's Wild Growth and her shielding to keep people alive. You've obviously got both Sterix and Sundered Sky on the side of Jarvan. They really need both the Yorick and, most importantly, the Tristana out of the work. They were able to make that dragon fight even because the Tristana was able to hit somewhat contestedly, but she was able to move well and get some shots on the other side of the wall. Now, Tristana was pushed off too much, couldn't counter anything that Inquick was throwing at them, and because of that, this fight was lost. But, I mean, it still feels like it's the side of Inquick, but I don't know, it's such an odd situation right now. I mean, they're up to 2k gold. Can Broad take anything back? There's still the issue of the rise of Kerberos not really being able to do anything. This Yorick is definitely a scary man. They just need to be able to put enough things on him to kill him, but even then, it's going to be hard. Do they have any kind of... They don't have any kind of Grievous on them, not even any kind of Thornmail, but the Mikals and the Redemption on the side of Lulu will keep them pretty healed and pretty safe relatively well. It's really just going to depend on, can this Urgot do enough, and can Inquick focus them? And if they can, should be good for them, but if they can't, he's going to be dangerous.
Certainly will be, as we see Lipsol and Dragdar and Kitney all moving towards Akers here. Just using the pressure they know they have to their advantage. With 4 members on the top side for Brod and friends. Kerberos is on a ward here. QQR going to look to do a bit of damage. The Grand Starfall comes in. Port finding so much damage onto this Rise, but has to back away. Run Warp will be used just to take our Rise to safety. Ensure that there is no chance of another death. But on the bot side, 4 members for 5 IQ. Dragdar pushing in the mid lane. Everybody else hovering at this bottom lane. And with Pork and QQR top side, it's a 3 versus 3 with the strongest members of Int Quick. Tower, if allowed to be hit, does not stand long. But the Maiden doing a good job of clearing waves.
Oh, I still have no idea what to think of this game. I mean, you know, Inquick are doing a weird job at controlling most of the map. Obviously, Baron's going to help with that. But I think as long as they're just keeping the Yorick at bay, it's going to be harder and harder for Broad to do anything. I mean, the movement of this Echo, I figured was going to be so extreme, and it really has been. I mean, he's feeling himself. The Lichbane and the Rabadon is going to be doing so much damage. I mean, look how aggressive he's looking right now. He's able to afford himself to be that aggressive. It's helping so much control for Inquick. I mean, now another Dragon Slaying. I mean, that's going to be 2 Chemtechs for them. I mean, the control on this bot side is really helping. Broad are kind of slowly bleeding this one out now, and it's really just going to depend on can they get lucky, and they haven't been that lucky yet, so maybe Kerberos can help with that, but we'll see.
We'll see what Akers can do on a side lane. Kerberos is just keeping him locked up away from towers with the amount of wave clear this Rise has at this point in the game. As this bot tower falls, 5 IQ are really securing themselves map control, as you mentioned. The gold lead is only about 3,000. Lipsol is found by Akers. Doesn't look like there's going to be any major chance of a fight. Never mind, as the cage hits onto 2. Pork finds onto Kerberos, but it's a good redemption from Kitney. Caspers onto Akers, forces him to flash. The Maiden will be the forfeit. Meanwhile, QQR is getting eviscerated on the bottom side. BZ still has that. Chrono Break does have to use it. Seraphs saving the Talia's life by an inch.
Talia's damage, you know, QQR has had some trouble with this Echo this entire time, but the haunting guys, and she's got the other bottle, the bottle thing that's also the burn effect that I forget the name of that item, but you know, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Thank you. Yes, everyone knows what I'm talking about. I'm the master of describing. That's the American way, baby. Anyway, it's just, the damage on the side of Broad is still not there. They really need this Tristana in all these fights. I mean, she's the strongest with the 3 items. The Pantheon kind of plateauing. The Talia still kind of going to need one more item. She's going to need that Leandries to do a little bit of damage, and she's also just a bit of a liability because she gets jumped on so easily by the Jarvan and the Echo. I mean, InQuick are playing this actually relatively smartly. They're just pushing them, Broad and Friends out, making sure that they can't get anything else back on the map, and then just slowly building these dragons so that they can secure a fight. Because that's really what they want. They don't want to give the Yorick any room. They don't want to give the Tristana any resets. As long as they do that, it seems like things are going to be okay. And they also learned this Yorick, with the Rod, with the Seraphs, and he's high level now, he may be not, have the best score in the world, but that doesn't mean he's still not hard to kill.
We'll see what the next steps is. A minute on this Baron Nashor. That is where we're like to see the next big team fight. Unless a team finds a pick in the next 30 seconds or so. So we can see BZ and Akkers on this bottom lane. Parallel Convergence used. Going to use it for the shield. The page goes ever so slightly wide, but the Maiden is dropped. BZ just dancing around these mists, however, as Kerberos brings both himself and Lipsol into the fight. Akkers taking so much damage. Cataclysm comes down, there's no flash. Rooted up. And BZ's able to get out of the cage with his ultimate. QQR now under fire. Port resulted in and will regret that decision greatly. Parallel Convergence will keep BZ plenty healthy enough. 2 members dead on the bottom side. InQuick lose nobody as the rest of Broad and Friends have to retreat. A beautiful collapse.
Akkers thought he was still going to be okay on the Yorick, but he's not. Oh, but a mistake!
Yeah, Curb. Bye, Curb. Push up a little bit too far, mate.
You said that so far away from the mic, I thought you were running away as well. Kerb pushed up a little bit far, and that cost him. It's a good catch by Broad to see the fact that, he's alone. Might as well just get him right off the bat. Talia rocked through him back. Good smart. They're trying to bait with the Baron right here, keep things chill. They're still going to get Baron. It seems like InQuick, if they didn't lose anybody, they probably could have just pushed that bot lane and probably gone for an inhibitor turn. Maybe even caught one more. They'll get Baron from here unless a steal happens, which it did not.
Not quite. However, there could be the prospect of forcing a fight here. QQR did blow TP for that.
It's not the most convincing takeover from the side of InQuick,
my
but
lord.
Doing the job.
The gold lead in the mid lane.
Oh, that's a lot of gold. That's pretty much one whole. That is one whole item.
Culling from Dragdar, completely rinsing Spark's health bar. We can see Lipsol on the bottom side. QQR on Port, blocked from the Cataclysm, now looking for the fight once again. A good seismic shove, but there's no damage. Dragdar flashing onto QQR. Isn't going to be able to find the cancel on the Weaver's wall. But this dragon is up in 10 seconds, and it is Soul for InQuick. And if you thought they were hard to kill before, Frisky, that's a Chemtech Soul on top of them. BZ able to kill the tower in the mid lane while all of this is going on. And InQuick, they're running away with this game. 6,500 gold in the lead.
I think Rod's just playing too passively. You have an aggressive comp. You still got to at least use it a little bit. So you got to try to look for some level of picks. There's been a lot of people spread out, and not just Kerberos, who's obviously died 8 times, but you got a couple people who 3 people on their team who still have pretty good shutdowns. I mean, the Lucian is probably one of the best ones you can get because all if you just catch him on the dash and catch him on the flash and the cleanse. So a few things you got to catch on there. But at the same time, compared to the Chrono Trigger, compared to the survivability of the Jarvan, you want to get him at least get yourself a little bit back on the map because I know what they're doing. They're waiting to 5:30 and then all hell will absolutely break loose. But the question is, can InQuick win the game in that time? Seems like probably likely, but I think they needed a couple more kills to make this Elder play happen so that they could still not give InQuick an easy way into the base so that they can make sure that they'll have time for the Elder Dragon. Because you got to think of this stuff, and now you back off. You burn some ults. There's no point. You're backing off. Akkers is not listening to me.
Able to get the overload to survive there, Kerberos. Very happy to survive that one. No ultimates used by the side of Broad and Friends. Only the Wild Growth dropped for Hitmonlee on the side of InQuick. But
That's gonna hurt,
BZ is
Echo.
absolutely annihilating towers on the other side. Rabadons and Lichbane, plus that phase dive, means Echo will eviscerate the base. Akers trying to get the reset off will succeed. Parallel Convergence comes down on the tower. The shield is good as BZ is just looking to take the towers. A good use of the Chrono Break as Zeta falls, QQR falls. There's 2 members left outside the base. Spark next on the list of people to pop, and Pork falls as well. It's Akers on his own. It's Akers versus the world, Frisky, and that feels like it's all this game has been. BZ falls in the base, but it might not matter. 4 member strong as Akers is annihilated off the rift by Dragdar. It's a clean ace for the side.
You want to go for an
Inquick.
Elder play. You want to go for an Elder play, you got to be able to get a little bit more on the map. But they waited too long. They were a bit too passive. Inquick struck, and they're going to end this season undefeated. Oh, look at Kerberos flashing. He gets to have a little bit of a dance after a performance and a half.
An absolute stinker of a game for Kerberos, but a beautiful game for the rest of Inquick. They did not let Brod and Friends play. That is, I believe, as you say, Inquick securing themselves a lossless split 9-0. And Brod and Friends, they won't know what their fate is heading into playoffs until our final match of the day. It's an absolutely incredible game. And I believe that, unless there's anything you want to say, just to sign off that game, Frisky, before I throw it back to the desk.
I mean, Broad and Friends were a bit just too passive. I think they needed to be looking a little bit more for picks to get themselves back in the game. But just the kind of odd, weird style of Inquick, the fact that they are able to kind of control the map but still kind of playing their own individual, unique style is they're such a weird team to watch. But I'm starting to enjoy them more and more, and they have deserved to be undefeated.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for myself and Frisky for the first half of the day. I'm going to hand you back over to Trajan, Temporal, and Harold to break down that game and be ready for the rest of the day.
Thank you, Luna and Frisky. So there it is. Inquick completing the 9-0. 2 splits in a row now. We have had a team go lossless in the regular split. Inquick standing up to the challenge of Brod and Friends. It was, there was certainly an Inquick game. It had the hallmarks of a classic Inquick game, but as they do, it did often end up in a win regardless. Now, Harold, we were looking for Dragdar to step up potentially and fill that void left by Karina's carry junglers. He and Kittenly made their intentions pretty clear from the start of that lane. We saw an intention to win from the get-go.
The Broad may have Ack attack, but in this game, 5IQ really had bot attack. As Dragdar and Kittenly just decided to just go and keep going.
Yeah.
Lucian, Lulu, you're using the Glitter Lance as the true spearhead of this composition at this point.
Yeah.
You're just looking to try and keep the fight going. You want to keep this Tristana as starved of resources as possible. We talked about her early, in the draft, that Tristana had the possibility of taking over the lane and then scaling into a late game monster. And Inquick just didn't give it a chance. It felt like it was a very targeted attack at shutting Spark out of the game, which is respectable since he's been Broad's best player in the last few games.
Yeah. I mean, we saw when I was checking the scoreboard, I'd see, 314 Spark, 240 CS. I'm like, that looks good. That looks great, in fact. But I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the 314 Tristana in these fights, Temporal. It seemed like Spark couldn't get an angle on like a hand into these fights.
Well, to shed some light on the situation. In this illuminated room where you can actually see my eyes, I'm not sure how Brod and Friends sort of planned out these fights. Frequently, the Talia was rushed over the top and would take time recalling out. Akers was pulled into the main group, and Tristana, you're right, never really felt like she had the space to play here. I think Spark was under assault from multiple members, respected that even at 0 and a lot, Rise will give her a lot of grief, and that the Echo had fantastic approach. And frequently when they'd show up to fights, Porp would not be able to provide that front line, and we saw that, like you mentioned, with Dragdar and Kittenly going early.
Yeah. Incredibly bold. The Glitter Lance, you know, by way of Nautilus Hook, kind of Lulu play in the bot side, which we love to see. And even if Dragdar's going down here, right, Harold, like, you're still crashing the wave under tower. You know, you're not letting Spark farm up, and Pope can get some counter kills. Kitley going down to the tower execute at the end there, so certainly still making their presence known. And the Lucian, especially in those later fights, we saw the Cullings start to really do some damage and knock Spark out before they could even get a look through. So one of the other things, Temporal, that we need to touch on here is you mentioned kind of the quick moment in these games where we're 24, 25 minutes in, and the game's over. You know, the team has been baited into a bad decision and the game just kind of ends. Now, today we saw the quick moment, and then we saw another one, and then we saw another one, and Broad Friends, they held out for longer than many, but they ultimately still fell to the concept.
Yes. Yeah, I think we saw the first one at 25, and I was like, no, it's just over. Like, this is going to be a double into the end. And actually, you're right, it did take 5 IQ moments. Yeah. The first one where I was like, oh no, it's all falling apart. Yeah. This fight on mid. Just watch how Broad and Friends like try and start this up. Zayda's going to come forwards, QQ over the wall. And it does not take a lot for Dragdar to go completely unchallenged. Full charge of the culling. And this is at numbers disadvantage. 5 IQ having the aura to walk forwards.
Yeah,
global taunt to Kerberos.
Yeah, ignore the bait. Like, Kerberos is just a large minion at this stage, and that's fine. That's the way the game it panned out for him. Manages to draw 4 members, I believe, eventually. It depends how long we're going to extend this replay out into their deaths.
It just really creates enough disruption for the rest of Quick to just get in. It gives them that half second of decisive moment where Quick can just say, okay, they are distracted, turning and bursting Curb. Curb is deceptively tanky. He still arrives with the Seraphs and Roa. We can just go and burst the first target, and we have still the power of the Lucian on top of a Jarvan EQ combo. We are fine. We've got the Echo coming through on the back. This is a great fight for us because they've split targets, and this is the kind of killer instinct Quick have had the entire split.
Yeah, that's something they certainly have in spades, that's for sure. Now the last very quick point, just before we go to keep rolling here, is Harold. We saw the Yorick for Akkers kind of, we know what Yorick, we expect them to be in the side lane, right? We expect them to be splitting focus, but time and again we see Akkers with the team. Now he has so much gold, he's had a great game by all accounts, right? He kind of did Kerberos over, made no kind of quibbles around that, but when you're a Yorick, you know, what is that kind of decision making got to be like of, do I just commit to my mission? Do I try and help the team out? Like, do I use my gold to try and keep them alive? Like, it's got to be a tricky one to handle.
Well, in this game, you were very much stuck between a rock and a hard place. Rock most of the time coming through from the Jarvan Cataclysm. You're in a situation where you want to be on the side lane because you know it's basically your only avenue of getting pressure off the map. But on the other side, you know that your team doesn't really have enough damage mitigation or kite back to absorb a decisive quick engage, and you want to be with them because you are the most gold on the map for your team. We saw that there was still a 4k gold lead in the individual gold lead in the lane. He had 4 items. He was still able to 1v1 BZ, who was the most fed member on the side of Quick. You're stuck between making a bad and a worse situation. Well, it's a worse decision. Sorry, not situation. And most of the times you want to go with the team because, you know, it feels bad leaving your team out to die, you know?
Yeah, it's a very tough call to make. So unfortunately, Broad and Friends couldn't do it. They fall to 6-3, so they are not able to lock third right now. We will see how the standings finally shake out at the end of the day, but Quick decidedly first and well-deserved for it. For now, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back with a fresh set of desk casters, a couple more teams and games to run out. Plenty more UK and Irish League to go this evening, so don't go anywhere, folks. We will see you back here after this break.
Doing all right? Not getting Millie's mic. Well, I'll
Terrible.
fill. That introduction was really good, which is a shame.
Wait, can we run it back? Can we run it back?
Are you getting my mic now? If you're not getting my mic now, okay. Look, that's my thing. I always do that. I've had the same issue yesterday on the LPL where my mic was just like, you know what? No, we're not doing this today. Anyways, hi, how are you doing? How is everyone? Apart from my microphone, apparently, how is everyone doing?
Well, I got blessed with the most beautiful introduction to a desk I've ever heard, exclusively for Temporal and I's ears. But apart from that,
It was
I'm
pretty
doing
good.
well.
I love
Yeah,
to
they couldn't
hear
get rid
that.
of me that easy. I'm back for 3 and 4.
Well, yeah, I've heard we had some, there were some persons today who couldn't manage to come in, but we're winging it as always here on the UKEL. Everyone is stepping up, and we're here for some bangers because actually every game today kind of matters. There is stakes for almost everyone. Good things happening, bad things happening. Last game had an impact on what's going on in the next ones. Catch me up, guys. Like, what are we getting here? The next game we're having is Gochi versus Bulldog Academy. It's going to be banging. What's happening? Where are we at with this?
So, if Bulldog Academy win this game, we are locked into a 3-way tiebreaker. We'll have to play it out on Thursday. If Good Chi win this game, no tiebreakers, but we're still not set.
Yeah, definitely. Like there is a lot going on for sure. And from what I've gathered from the last game, Quick's win was really, really important. But also for the second half of the second half, if you want to put it that way, there's also stuff going on. But let's focus on this first game for now, Gochi versus Bulldog Academy. If we're just looking at the plain standings for now, it looks like Gochi should be just a little bit favored in this matchup. Or would you disagree, Casual Cutie? What do you say?
Well, the thing with Bulldogs is, I respect them coming into the league, taking up Team Vertex's slot, but the team just really hasn't been able to pull it together cohesively. The only victory comes against Symbol. They're really not looking quite like it at the moment. And now we've seen good things out of Maro, specifically. Hayo, I want to highlight as well, if we could pull the roster up, please, for Bulldogs. Seen good things out of a lot of the players on this team, right? A lot of individual players here, yeah. Hayo, Nectar's got a lot of respect for a lot of these players, but just haven't been able to make it click.
Yeah, for sure. It has been a bit of a struggle. Would you agree, Temporal? What is something that maybe looked positive for them up to this point? Because it's always easy to talk about the negatives, but what is something positive about this roster? What's up with them? What can we look forward to maybe?
I think they always put a smile on our faces in draft, even if not successful. It's powerful. Nectarius has shown up a few times. The earlier game AD carries seem to be favoring them. Mike still draws high Medinger bans. Harry Carey or Hayo still drawing weird jungle bans. And I think Sharpie's done decently well in the top lane, holding some of their early game together. It's just whether they can get that over the line and really start to drive into an opponent's advantage.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a rough spot for them to be in, because even if they do win, it has no impact on where they're going to end up in the standings at this point. But you already mentioned the possible tie coming out of this, the tiebreakers. I know everyone is super excited to have more games on Thursday, because it's not like there is already enough games. No, we need more. We need just a few more. But let's look at the Gochi roster for a second here, because they have been putting in some work themselves, and you've already, pointed out Maru. What are some other players to look out for you in this roster?
Well, I mean, obviously, eyes on Chova as well, towards the mid lane, putting some really strong performances. This Gochi roster is kind of a testament, I think, to the strength of the UKL at the moment, that this roster hasn't really seen more success. They are still fighting in that glob, the 3 and X glob towards the bottom of the brackets. We'll have to see if Bulldogs can force them into that 3-way scenario. But I have a lot of confidence in these players.
Yeah, you're right. I think the gameplay level's been really good for these guys. And that being where it is in our table, I think a testament to where we're going as a tournament as a whole.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like there are a bunch of players in this roster who are also like fan favorites. People just enjoy watching them play a lot. And for them, this really matters because it determines whether or not they can move up to 6th place, if I'm not wrong, or if we get that 3-way tie, which puts them in an awkward position where they would have to play these tiebreakers. Now, obviously, you would want to end up in 6th. However, let's see if Bulldog Academy can put out their A game today. What are possibly some draft shenanigans you guys are expecting? Is there any special picks you want to see, or maybe picks you really don't want to see? Because I know we've had some rough stuff here in the UKL in the past. So Casual Cutie starts off. What is something you really want to see?
It's the last game of the season. Give the man his Heimerdinger. That's all I have to say. Right?
Fair point.
Okay, I know it has standings implications for you. It's an important match or whatever. But the G guys, they're good sports. I want to see them give over that Heimerdinger. I want to see Mike on it. And I want to see us show why this pick is respected.
Honestly,
Absolutely.
I love that.
Bulldog on blue as well. So B1 Corky could go in one of 3 lanes, all up there. It's funny you mentioned we've had some bangers, Melee, because actually in our first game today, we did have your favorite jungler rigged back on with his Hecarim and Karthus that you love so much. Didn't end up in a win, but you're right. Let's have some spicy. Let's celebrate this ridiculously warm day with some hot picks.
You know, honestly, the trauma I've taken from watching these Karthus jungles is, it's something, but maybe I get lucky and I don't have to watch that today. But honestly, if it happens, it happens. That's what I'm here for. That's what the UKL stands for. And I hear we're ready to jump into a draft, possibly, which would be cool to watch. I'm really, really excited. You mentioned it's the last day. Really, anything can happen. I wonder if it actually means that we're getting these shenanigans. I mean, for a team like Bulldog Academy, there is not a lot on the line for them personally. So does that put you?
I'd say there's pride on the line for these guys.
I mean,
They've had one win this split. That win was by default. I think last game of the season, when nothing else much matters, this is where some of the strongest fighting comes out, I've noticed. Across whatever league you look at. So I think Bulldogs, there's a chance. I don't want to write them off completely.
Honestly, I mean, that's what I want. I'm just saying because it doesn't change anything for their specific standing, they can do whatever they want.
That's
but
true
we're not getting Heimerdinger. We're not getting Heimerdinger,
Tragic.
and it's the heartbreak right away. Yeah, thumbs down. F in chat for the Heimerdinger, guys. It's that's that.
I don't know. That's tragic. We still got plenty to go. The Graves coming out. This has been Tweak's big pick, and it has sort of allowed him to lead with a gun in his hand, not necessarily from the front on a huge tank, but as a threat within Good Chi, which has served them well the last 2 games. Will have to go to a backup if they're still on that strategy, as I expect Good Chi to get rid of all of the other Bulldog favorites. More mages that can be shared that between bot and mid, not a shock.
Yeah,
Ban,
absolutely.
potentially. We're going to see if
Get them. They're short and adorable.
I mean, it's really like the yordles. They are just yordles everywhere. We're also getting the Varus ban. I mean, that's more of a meta ban here, probably going towards Maro, who has been performing very, very well for his team. But we're now getting a little bit more of a target ban again, I would say, with it. We're good flying right away, and I'm leaving. I quit.
It's you.
I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this is happening. Why? God, why? Bulldog Academy.
Really good on the patch, by the way.
I quit. No.
Make
it work.
Yeah,
Make it work for me.
Nearly certainly a Karthus jungle. To be fair, I don't hate it against Gucci. Gucci, Vayne Kaiser team right now. None of those champions want to dive Karthus because he just bites back real nasty. Chova's Aze coming through. If you don't know what to do in draft, stealing power picks that can be themed later on is really good. Gucci, they're going to let Bulldog tell their story on 2 and 3.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
for sure.
One they already have with this Karthus, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good opening chapter, lost chapter, perhaps even.
Might be lost by 20. Let's see.
that
That was
have
what
faith.
happened last time Melee watched a Karthus in Div 1.
Really, like the trauma, it's deep inside of me. The answer here being a Vi. Now that's more of what I personally want to see, a very strong mid-jungle duo, even though, Vi is probably better paired with something like Ari, Oriana, but I still like this. Two very strong picks, a bit of a carry potential jungler here for Tweak. Let's see what they're doing with 2 and 3 here, because I'm scared.
Baby.
Okay, yes, sure. No, for sure, do it. Do we love this, or are we questioning things already?
Well, you talk about leaving nothing on the table, right? Quinn. So Quinn Karthus here, a bit of an unorthodox jungle lane pairing. Could be a Quinn mid, probably going up towards that top lane. I don't want to see a Quinn AD carry, pretty please. But no, Karthus likes people who can lock down laners, right? Get those Skittles. Oh god, that's a data reference. Get those Skittles and those lay wastes coming through. Quinn doesn't do any of that, and neither does Lucian.
Yeah,
no, they
I feel
do
like-
get prio at least. So
Yeah.
Karthus won't get completely obliterated by Vi.
And we've just seen that Lucian Ultimate can have a whole lot of impact. Like, that culling is huge if it works well, if you're well positioned. But at this point, I don't even want to say, oh, that surely is Lucian ADC. I honestly don't know.
No, yeah,
we will
wise.
find out shortly.
Happy to see the Ashe
Wise,
come through here for Maru. Maru, by the way, favorite champ of his, going to be dangerous. Good chi comp, looking pretty deadly lined up here.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. I am a little worried about the Vi having to commit into Karthus. If an advantage is not generated, you want to like pick one person out and deal with it. If it's not Karthus, you go down to him. If it is Karthus, it's a hollow victory indeed.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they want to round this out with, because I do feel like they need some other engage other than the seasoned assist coming in, just to make sure that people manage to stay alive. And obviously a frontline would be great too, but hey, no, I don't want to make any assumptions here. We're getting some support bans here from the side of Bulldog Academy. Braum obviously going out. Very nice answer into that deadly Lucian ultimate. At the same time, the Garen going out, which kind of leaves the question on the table if it is actually the Quinn for Mike, which the chat has predicted already. And sometimes I feel like the chat is right. So what do we make of this? What is happening?
It's a tough pull, and I don't mind the Ornn being taken away either, because the engage onto the backline of Good Chi will break that front to back that the Vi wants to draw Ashe and Azir through safely. I am a bit concerned with Bulldog's bans. Fellas, you probably didn't want to look at support and just wanted to bang in Morgana on B4. It's not contested, and it solves your big problem with Ashe and Vi being able to break your Karthus's position, the people around him. You're in a bit of a tough position. I like the Lulu takeaway though. Rakan's also fine.
I think both of them make sense. Lulu is a nice pairing with Ashe. We've seen a bunch of times. Rakan as well with the mobility, the sustain, just an important support pick. The question stands though: what do they want to pick? Where do they want to go with this? Any ideas? Any preferences here?
I'd like to see a Karma come through. That Mantra Defiance comes out, puts a shield on the whole team. Karthus is very, very sad. You could obviously just look for a top laner as well. Rumble Slam down here.
I think the Karma's a really good way to go, because Bulldog, with what they've got so far, the way they're protecting Karthus is soft power. You're pushing your minions away. You're buying time. You're buying an early game where Vi is not safe and not empowered. And with it, the Karma will rob you of one lane and will move first to the next. So I would like to see something come through, a Morgana or some further position for Bulldogs. I think Nautilus is one way to get it, but it's reliant on Good Chi being accessible.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of the question mark here, especially if you're actually looking to go for something like a Karma. You can poke a lot, especially in laning phase. That could be very, very hard. Now let's see what they're going for with their last pick here, as we're looking for
We
a
gotta break
possible
this flex.
mid or top lane pick. We don't know yet.
Or AD.
Or 80, actually, at this
Oh.
point. No, okay.
Nah, you see
I
what they've done
mean-
here? They've taken the best Renekton counter pick off the board in B2 here for Bulldog. Masterful strategy.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
Ooh, a bard is an interesting
I'm
hover.
not sure about that.
Baby. I mean, I'm a bit of a bard aficionado myself. I don't
We
think it's
both
great.
are.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced with that.
Okay.
It's a bottle that could very easily like nullify Vi's position, the equalizer, and just be like, not a good time.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We've seen it happen before. But looking at these two drafts and trying to figure out what it means, do you have a draft you prefer?
Are you
let's-
asking if we would prefer the Quinn mid draft?
We're still here.
As we
because
get caught up,
as
there we
long
go.
as
There
we
we
still
go.
hear each other, things are still going
Yeah.
well.
Things
No,
are still
but-
going fine.
Draft preferences. Shoot.
I'm liking a lot of what Gucci are bringing. I want to see more interestingly than maybe the result is how Tweak copes with Vi. These guys are going to be in the lower bracket. They're going to be running it unless that three-way tie comes through. And it's going to be more about the style, the learning. Bulldogs, a lot of weight off, a lot of fun. And maybe a greater challenge for Gucci than they were expecting and how non-standard this is going to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, respect to Bulldogs for once again putting it all on the table. Final game of the season. Quinn mid counter pick. Well, blind pick. Maybe actually no, counter pick. the Quinn mid counter pick. You can cancel out the dash in by Azir with your vault. There maybe is something there. I don't pretend to be an expert on the matchup, but I respect the pick either way.
I've played nearly as much Azir as Sovnix at this stage. I don't think I know, and I don't think he knows either.
I mean, the only thing I know about Quinn, no matter what lane she's on, that is in my elo, she's usually really, really bad in the first few levels, and then kind of scales into it and can do banger things, and she can get really, really fast when she's in her bird form and stuff like that. Like, those are the few things I know about this pick, and that's about it.
Go fast?
But I gotta say, even though the card has obviously hurts my feelings on a personal level, I gotta say I like this. I like this draft. I feel like it's bold, and I honestly want to see them win with it. I know it's crazy, but I want to see it work. Just because it's so absurd.
It's a
you know?
piece, perhaps, of expressionist art, and
Oh,
Maybe.
what greater expression would there be than a victory?
Wow. Well, it's
think-
going to be exciting for sure.
Yeah, everyone cheers for Bulldog. Like, results one thing. Like, we just want to see this. This is our returning character that shows up once an episode, and we're like, hell yeah, great time. Outcome,
Sure.
whatever, good time.
Awesome. Awesome. You know who else is going to have a really good time with this? I think it's going to be our casters who are ready and standing by, just waiting to give you this game. So we don't let them wait any longer. And we're throwing out. Surprise!
Oh,
It's us again. we just want to keep it a little more exciting, so we're just going to yap on for a second longer about this draft, which is really it's a once in a lifetime thing. Now, if you have to pick one lane to look at, which one is it and why? You go
I
first.
can't have all of them. I can't have all of them.
Oh, okay.
I think we should follow Karthus around on lock camera. I think that's what we should do, and then we should strap Melee into a chair.
That sounds horrible.
Ludovico
Honestly,
technique.
yeah, for sure. Just no. I mean, look, there was a Karthus ADC meta, and that was for a second there, I enjoyed it for a second. But that second is long over. So what else are we looking at if we're not looking at Karthus for a change?
I want to look up towards this top lane because I think it's going to be very interesting to see Quinn and Renekton on these dives, because I think that is the one way that Bulldog can find the lead in these other games. Right, you've got Renekton, one of the best diving laners. You've got one of the best roaming mid laners in this Quinn. Level 6. Rumble has a lot of damage, doesn't have that many defensive tools. If you knock him down, kill him, pick him off on the turret, maybe there's some way you can snowball into a victory for that for Bulldogs.
Oh, 100%. Actually, Renekton for me is a pick that I saw it yesterday in the LPL. Now, hear me out. I don't want to compare the UKEL to the LPL. That would be a bit of a reach, maybe. Possibly.
A bunch of
You
same
watched RNG play recently. I think Bulldogs take RNG to half an hour.
Okay, I mean, sure. No, but for real, that champion, once it gets unleashed, is ridiculous. And it can just do anything and everything on this map. And I love how Tempora's just completely lost it there at this point. I love it. I don't know what time it is for you guys. For me, it's 10 p.m. It's really late in Germany, so it's not going to get any better. You know what? It's not going to get any better. We should toss it back to the casters.
It's time for the casters. Well, hey.
I can't do it anymore. Can we leave production, please?
I mean, after what I can only equate to an almost Clockwork Orange suggestion from Temporal there, I'm kind of terrified. I'm looking for the nearest door as well. So, Drew, you managed to avoid getting shaded. We're talking about the comps though. This is just one of the most Bulldog comps that we have really seen.
Yes.
Yeah. We discussed it, in fact, during the recap show for last week of when a team known for weird comps exists, it doesn't really matter what surprising picks you pull out because it's already expected. You're going into the draft and just going, they're going to do something weird.
See, this is where the thing that none of us expect happens, and it's Quinn jungle, Lucian mid, and Karthus AD carry. And we just throw all expectations out the window.
I wouldn't entirely put it past them. Again, stranger things have happened, and that's the exact same thing that we've been saying. This is just what teams have to do when you're against Bulldog Academy. You have to be like, okay, well, there might just be a Corki jungle. There might just be a Karthus. There might just be a Quinn. There might just be... Well, no, there's probably not a Heimerdinger because it's banned, but this is how you deal with it. It was much the same for Vertex as well in their previous incarnation. And it seems that, with the stepping up that the league had this split with 5IQ coming in, with Venomcrest still being on this massive high, and a lot of other teams kind of rising up to meet them to a certain degree. Unfortunately, Bulldog Academy, their playbook has kind of been worn through a little, and the new picks, we've yet to see a new sort of ascended god off-meta pick that could save them in a situation like this. Of course, there's no saving themselves from a relegation spot this split as we load onto the Rift, but they could play massive spoilers to Good Chi, who are looking to try and avoid the bottom 2 spots of the playoff bracket. Try and sneak their way into 6th place. If they lose to Bulldog Academy, they do not get that luxury.
No, they do not. A win here is imperative for Chi. And against the composition you see on the other side of the Rift, I mean, that's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to come with ease, or it's going to leave you questioning. As we're immediately into a pause.
This is, I mean, again, expect the unexpected. I'm not surprised by a pause.
Right, well, the early stage of this game should be pretty quiet, I would have thought. I mean, there's not really a huge amount you can do pre-level 6 as Quinn Karthus. You've not really got the map presence that you really want.
Karthus mid lane.
It
could never happen. I'm not going to give Drew an aneurysm.
Like,
you can see her already suffering. That is just not a thing that would happen. Yes, the early levels of this game you would expect to be quieter. I think that despite the Four Nations' usual propensity for gratuitous violence, it shouldn't be too insane in the first 15 minutes.
No, I really hope not. I mean, I think the most likely place we will see fighting is the bot lane. Because Ashe Lucian is quite a fist fight, or historically has been quite a fist fight heavy matchup. With Ashe's recent changes to be more of a scaling based champion than a lane bully based champion, 6-1 half dozen the other. Maybe Ashe can still win out. I mean, when paired up.
Is it just me, or does that work even better for Maro, who I would say is not the most lane dominant carry we've got in the league? He
Mr.
is,
Space Glide himself.
We saw him space glide on Kai'Sa and literally save their last game.
It's Mr. Space Glide
on the
himself.
steps of the Nexus.
Yeah.
So these changes to Ashe feel all the better, and this is a champion that Maro already loves and already has played a hell of a lot of. So eyes on towards the bottom side, but then again, generally speaking, Gucci have got a pretty comfortable draft. Chova's got his Azir. We have seen him do disgusting stuff on that. Remember, this is still a very young player. He has got so much time to develop, and he's already showing us fantastic montage clips and a couple of bigger brain moments that kind of give me some big hope for the future years of him potentially going up even beyond the Four Nations ecosystem.
Certainly does. That being said, I'm not sure what the avenue is this game outside of just have Quinn appear in a sideline and hope Karthus ult kills for Bulldog Academy. The draft is a little disjointed, and you can never play front to back against the opposing team. Gucci's draft is very good at just fist fighting you at mid to late as a 5-man. Unless you can find a good flank on Tamara or Chova, who are pretty safe anyway, it's going to get very difficult.
The potential is still there for sure. We will see Heyo Harakari going to step on in, get a cheeky little award in the early stages, try and spot out Tweak, maybe try and avoid an unpleasant encounter in the first clear. Of course, Karthus just wants to get through his early camps on repeat until he gets his level 6.
Okay, so taking the game slow, taking the game steady, hoping that you can get to that level 6 without too much trouble is really the name of the game for...
Hey, Drew.
Yeah?
Look who's in mid lane.
Why?
Mid. Faulty has gone top. That's Mike in top lane with the Quinn, and they've sent the Renekton into the Azir. Why, Luna?
Because... Right, so... I don't really understand why we're picking the Quinn into the Azir and then not just giving the Quinn to Sharpie. If we want to send it top lane. Because Renekton into Rumble is a fine matchup. Bot lane.
What might not be fine is what's happening in the bot lane right now. Stargazing, taking chunks upon chunks. Nectarius not quite able to get the damage down. Stargazing is able to get out another hook. Lands onto Maro that's barriered down. Tries to flash away, but the follow-up on the Light Slinger means that Nectarios will still be able to secure first blood.
And like I said, we could see a lot of brawling in this lane, but it no longer favors the Ashe. Really, really, really difficult for the Ashe to find a lead coming into the early stages of this lane because they have moved a lot of her damage into having crit. And you don't manage to actually get damage going until you're sitting about that 50% mark. You are much more a 2-3 item spiker now.
And the concern also, of course, is like low levels. Alistair at level 1, Alistair is basically not a champion. At level 2, he doesn't suddenly become crazy good. Like, if you're just gonna eat a hook to the face, like, Dredgeline allows Nectarios to free hit onto you. And as we see, Maro is the one that ends up paying the price for that. Sharpie getting the shove in. Another hook lands on out from Kakashi. Trover will be able to step away. Doesn't have to burn the flash. And we've got movement in return from Good Chi. No flash on this Nautilus. It should be an easy enough secure. The health dropping down. Chova trying to get the damage across. The knockback is there though, and the turnaround is actually Sharpie getting the damage down onto Stargazing, who falls. Week is going to try and steal the kill. Maro has moved across. Sharpie is surviving well enough. Colder Meek would keep him going. Chova still trying to get the damage down, is able to survive. Harry now Nectario finally. I feel like there may not be much more to talk about though. Maro still trying to step away. The chase down is good. Nectarios is able to set up for another kill. It's Heo who picks up 2 in that extremely extended skirmish.
That's a massive, massive play coming through for Bulldog Academy. You know what? I'm going to stop talking about how early games should go, because this is the 3rd game in a row where we've said something and it's just been cursed. Already, we can see just how strong Bulldog Academy are coming out of the gates. Harry Carey already got 2 kills. Nectarios already got 1. Sharpie already got 1. And while you are able to trade 2 back in that situation, that's not great for you, because you have a scaling carry versus things that want to just accelerate.
There is still a flash available on the Quinn. It will be used. Mike able to get away from this one, and then will provide a bit of a slap on the wrist to Tweak for daring to appear in his lane. But there was a collection of words that I did say before we loaded in. Propensity for gratuitous violence. This is the Four Nations, and even in the most non-aggressive of scenarios, I would still expect to see a few kills in the early stages of the game.
And a few kills is exactly what we're seeing. I mean, the Bulldog are showing a level of aggression unmatched in a lot of their other games, and it is paying dividends for them as Harakari is looking on towards the Chi bot lane.
I mean, Stargazing is already getting melted down. Maro going to get slowed down by the Wall of Pain, and the follow-up is great. The wall setup is right where it needs to be. Nectarios has his barrier back up. Maro will drop 3 kills now onto the Karthus, 2 now onto the Lucian, and Bulldog Academy might just be off to the races. Not even level 6 on the Karthus, but he's going to have a lot of AP for that first ult.
Most certainly is. On this reset, I would imagine a full Leandries already completed. Could be the Blackfire instead, not 100% sure. Time will tell. This dragon is available. I think Bulldog will likely concede it, given the resets coming in, plus Harakari clearing towards the top side. But this is actually a pixel-perfect start for Harakari as Kakashi.
He's fishing! Sharpie looking for the chase forwards. Chova, with the Emperor's Divide, is going to be able to keep himself safe for now. As you say, this dragon will be conceded. Looking to get his level 6 as quickly as possible. I mean, why not push the tempo of this game? We talked about the scaling being really good, as the level 6 has been hit. Tweak is going to take a chunk. Chova dies under his turret to the first Karthus ult of the game. 4-0-2. Are you entertained, Mille? This is a Karthus being played properly.
And that it is being played to a high level in this game. Yeah, honestly, it's a bit of a masterclass coming out of Harakari, doing everything in their power to make sure that Bulldog can play upset here, can force some kind of tiebreaker.
Remember, no tiebreakers at all if Good Chi wins it. They just get to lock themselves in towards 6th place. However, Bulldog Academy have started extremely strongly. They have 2,000 gold in the advantage before 8 minutes. The question remains, can they hold on to that lead? Because I can cast my mind back so many times in this league stage, Luna, where teams have gotten early advantages and a mid-game misplay around an objective has caused a shutdown to go across, an objective to fall, and all of a sudden, you've completely lost that advantage, and this more early scaling team just gets outvalued later on.
Especially against Good Chi, right? We've seen it a couple of times against this team where everything just turns on a dime. The grubs are taken for Bulldog Academy. That is one objective apiece for these teams now. But it is Bulldog with the inside line towards Feats, thanks to those first 3 kills.
Trying to get the plate down, not quite going to happen
got
for Maro and Stargazing. Like, one more auto should be enough to do the trick before they get back into lane. As you rightly say, Blackfire Torch already picked up for Harakari on the Karthus. Quarter of the cooldown remaining on that second Requiem of the game. Right now, it's all about that tempo. Bulldog Academy, they need to keep it up. Sharpie is doing a good job, just pressuring in towards Chova, making sure the Sazir is locked in this lane effectively in perpetuity.
Honestly, this game is a little bit baffling. It's not often we see a Karthus do this well this early.
It just felt like every time something happened in the first, six or so minutes, Harakari didn't necessarily predict it, but knew exactly what he needed to do in that situation, for sure. Getting some nice damage down onto Faulty. He's swift enough, Mike, that is. He will be able to step that one out. Ash Arrow flies across. That's going to be a very long nap time duration for Kakashi, but alongside Harakari, they're making their way towards the top lane. Warpaint, not going to be used. Tweak, and for sure, okay for the time being. Look towards the bot side. Nectarios doesn't seem to be under any real threat. There's no Ash Arrow. Stargazing can't effectively engage under the turret unless Tweak was maybe to go down, and we already know where the buy is.
That we do. So it looks like Faulty just gonna have to take that step back for now.
Oh, Nectarius died.
Duh. So we did.
Boy, do I feel like I cast a curse. The circumstances of that are yet to be discerned. Maro going to try and step this one away. Harakari putting good damage down. The Requiem is available. Chooses not to burn it in this situation. Maro, at high enough health, does have the barrier in the back pocket as well.
Certainly does. It's not strictly the strongest ultimate at this point in time. Only that Blackfire Torch. It is a lot of AP this early in the game. It's still not a huge amount in the grand scheme of things as Nectarios returns and this tower is just going to be beaten, battered, and abused.
We'll see if they're able to take it fully down. Of course, if they were able to pick it up, that would be feats of strength secured for Bulldog Academy. Stargazing and Maro now looking to step forwards, but there's members moving across. Sharpie is already on the move. Harakari burning down low, but he's not going to fall just yet. Chova is here to claim it. It's actually the kill picked up by Maro as all becomes chaos. The Ash dropping low is going to get taken out by Sharpie. Sharpie flashes away after being scooped underneath the turret. Kakashi is very, very low. Tweak should be there alongside Chova to put the damage down. It's the Azir we're looking at right now. The Nautilus is going to be the first chosen target. Chova will be able to secure the kill onto Sharpie also. In the grand scheme, that is a huge win for Good Chi.
Most certainly is. This gold lead has now been shrunk to 500 gold. First item on every member bar the support of Good Chi versus the only first item now completed onto Sharpie and of course Nectarios and Harakari who already had them. Dragon is focused for Chi, but with Harakari here could look for a steal even with 3 members around.
He completely misses it and Harakari just steals it from right underneath them. Is going to go down. Ultimate not available, will not be able to land the Skittles to do enough damage to threaten for a kill. That was a severe misstep from the side of Good Chi. They even knew what was about to happen, and they still lose the dragon.
Yeah, an absolute disaster for Chi. As they managed to lose the little solace they had after that fight of taking the dragon, as this tower in the bot lane should now fall as well. That is feats of strength.
looking forwards though. Greek will be able to secure this one alongside Maro. Arrow comes out. It's a little bit wide, Nectaris. Relentless Pursuit is more of a relentless retreat right now, but he is able to escape with his life. Good Chi, as we say, has completely evened up the gold. The first 8 to 10 minutes of the game slowly starting to become less and less relevant. Wherever Harakari is, there's still a certain degree of value.
Good lord. Lay Waste truly wasting Stargazing's health bar away. We have a look at the gold lead. Actually not as big as one would expect. If you look at the difference between Faulty and Forsure here, 800 gold lead, I think that is the biggest lead we've got across the board. 500 in jungle in favor of Harakari. 800
Despite Maro having a kind of rush time,
Maro.
he's up. Oh, straight on. Double ult. It's a flash out. Gonna try and get away with the flip. But